I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Dillard, if you can hear me, I tried to promote you to panelist, so you should be getting an invite.
Her hand's raised, I know.
Well, maybe I sent it to the wrong person. Let's try this. Perfect. Okay. Commissioner Dillard? We're just doing roll
Here.
call. Thank you. Commissioner Gathua?
Present.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Krebs?
Here.
Commissioner Merritt?
Here.
Commissioner Nobis?
Here.
Commissioner Tassinari?
Here.
And Commissioner Simmons?
Here.
Thank you.
Now we'll do the reading of the Native American Land Acknowledgement. Someone like to do that? Would you like to do it for me?
Yeah, I'll read it. We meet today in the community of Iowa City, which now occupies the homelands of, can you hear me okay? Which now occupies the homelands of Native American nations to whom we owe our commitment and dedication. The area of Iowa City is within the homelands of the Iowa, Meskwaki, and Sauk. And because history is complex and time goes far back beyond memory, we also acknowledge the ancient connections of many other indigenous peoples here. The history of broken treaties and forced removal that dispossessed indigenous peoples of their homelands was and is an act of colonization and genocide that we cannot erase. We implore the Iowa City community to commit to understanding and addressing these injustices as we work toward equity, restoration, and reparations.
Thank you. Now, will be the approval of the meeting minutes from September 21st and September 27th, 2023. Can I get a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
I'll motion to approve.
Seconded.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the meeting minutes from September 21st and September 27th. Any further discussion? Commissioner Dillard?
Yes.
Commissioner Gathua?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Krebs?
Yes.
Commissioner Merritt?
Yes.
Commissioner Nobis?
Yes.
Commissioner Simmons?
Yes.
And Commissioner Tassinari?
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0.
Okay. Next, public comment on items not on the agenda. Commissioners shall not engage in discussion with the public concerning said items. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on the item that are not on the agenda? We'll first go with anybody in the room.
My name is Amos Kichi, and I just have one little comment based on the attendance, the participation we had last week. And this is about the fact-finding. When Larry was presenting to us, he gave us options. The first option he gave us was doing a questionnaire, collecting primary data from the community. Then he also said the supplement to that, which was the item we really dealt much with, was on the different areas in which we were going to collect data. And this was going to mainly be secondary data. But unfortunately, I think he ran out of time. Not only him, all of us ran out of time. It was getting late. So we did not respond. I don't know whether it was me or the commission. I don't know if I was supposed to, on the idea of doing a community survey, a questionnaire. It can take different forms. And so I did not see that explored well. And when I went back home, I was a little bit concerned that, okay, does it mean he's just going to do it because he proposed it, or because we didn't say anything about it, he can just disappear like that? And so that's what I wanted us to probably reflect on. Maybe he's not here, but I guess he's going to be hearing me. And I know you're not supposed to talk about that today, but this is just to the commission. Yeah, consider that, please. It's a big, big, important aspect of what we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And the fact-finding is actually on the agenda.
Yeah.
It's number
Agenda
8.
number, item 8. So I was wondering that maybe you might want to bring that up at number 8, if that's okay? So. Is there anybody online who had an item they want to discuss that was not on the agenda? Okay, we'll move on. There's no correspondence, so we will go back past that. So next item, number 6, the TRC budget presentation. Before I turn this over to City Manager, Deputy City Manager Redmond Jones, is there anybody in the public that wish to discuss this item? Or anybody online? Okay, I will turn it over to you.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to take a couple moments to kind of give an update on the expenses. So far, if you commission will recall, the commission had requested a budget to conduct the activities surrounding the facilitation contract or contracts that the commission is currently working through. And that request, it went to the city manager's office, and the city manager had granted that request. It was a $10,000 budget amount. To date, looking at August 1st, which is when the contracts had started, to October 4th, the total expense so far is $6,667.91. I think everyone have got a copy of what those expenses are, but for the public benefit, I'll just go through some of the highlights of those. I think the commission was also interested in marketing some of the early events, and involved in that was Living Justice Press, and there's 2 copies of Colonizing Restorative Justice, Hands Up Communication. I think this was also some translation work that involved in getting some of the early marketing materials out, Spanish, Arabic, Swahili, and African French, to name some, just to name a few. I think there's some others there. There was also some graphic design work done by the Daily. Bankers Advertising Company also participated in getting some of, I think we called our swag out. That involved scratch pads, pen images with the logo of the TRC on there. Amazon had some gift bags for us that we had purchased for strategic doing on the 9th and 14th, on 9/14th and 9/16th, excuse me. And then there's some for some of the meals of that event, Oasis. Also, Royce Soul Food, Early Bird Cafe, La Mexicana, were some of those entities that provided food for those events. And Dream City was the location of the Spanish-speaking strategic doing, and those costs were there for, I think that was $300. And Mendoza Consulting was the facilitator that worked that particular facilitation, and that was $3,275. Bread Garden was another one of the meals provided for the fact-finding at $354, and then some more supplies for the fact-finding, both by Amazon for $127 and $266. So all those add up to a total of $6,667.91. And we have another month to go, and this is for Phase 1. Just to remind everyone, we can have another budget request, and I think we had expected to have another budget request should Phase 2 be needed. So the only pending piece on there that you might notice, that's just over a tax issue. The vendor charged tax to the city, and so we're working through getting that removed and then having that paid out. So any questions? Great. I just wanted to let everyone know where we are.
Thank you. Okay. On to agenda item, oh, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. Sorry, I just wanted to be Fix My Rise, CEO, Astig Planning. So one thing I just wanted to point out here is in our original contract, we had $10,000 set aside for working with community members for the Healing Partners. And it was because we recognized that so many of our community members said, we want to be included. And we thought at the time, we'll put that $10,000 in our budget. So if people feel more comfortable working with a community organization as opposed to the city, that might make sense. Since then, we've had contractual issues with actually putting that $10,000 in Astig Planning. And so that $10,000 is with the city. And it was always intended to be paid to people working in our community. So I just wanted to bring that up because I know we're talking about budgets and they're tight. I would just be curious about having Mendoza Consulting as somebody who's in the community, as a community member, be paid out of that $10,000 as opposed to this $10,000. It's just a question, but I didn't know how aware the commission was of that shift from the Healing Partners back to the city. And the city was going to kind of, pay people, I suppose. And so just wanted to say that there was that bucket of money there as well. So yeah, just wanted to put that out there. If I can answer any questions.
Redmond, is that something that can or can't at this point?
I spoke with legal about that, and my understanding is that can't. For reasons of it's within the contract with the vendor. If the vendor chooses to use it or not, it's up to the vendor. We had talked about things that could possibly move that around, but after legal reviewed the contract language, basically instructed that either the vendor would use it or not use it, but the city could not appoint it to the commission or anything. So that would be a different pot of money. But again, it probably might go back to our original thing. If there's more resources you need, then you can make that request, and then it can be considered.
Okay, so you're talking about the $10,000 that was in their contract has to still be vendor. Okay, in that case, because this particular item was a facilitator project,
That's a potential.
then
Yeah.
their
I hadn't spoke
consulting
to
could
that.
potentially still
My
be under.
comments, yeah, I understand where you're going.
Okay.
My comments were just to the fact of moving that 10,000
Right.
over to the commissions per se. The fact that that facilitator could be reviewed as a local group within that contractor, within that vendor's contractor. I'm sorry, I'm saying that vendor. I'm just trying to.
So offended, Redmond. I have a name.
That's certainly
Yeah.
a possibility that we hadn't explored. I would certainly check with legal to make sure that's okay, but it certainly wasn't what I was talking
Yeah, considering
about.
it was something
Yeah.
it was actually their facilitation
That would give you a little
thing
extra cushion as well.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think, keep in mind, we only have technically one more month on this contract. So we're kind of on target as far as our budget expenditures. But that certainly could give you more room, for sure.
Well,
I just didn't want that
later on.
coming out later and then there being this extra money. So I just wanted to let you be aware of that. And certainly we can explore that still coming out of our funds. It's just that the city was requiring us to use it as retainer. So we would have lost $10,000 in our contract in a way. It would have just lowered our monthly invoicing ability. So if you retain something on the end, it's like they sort of hold it for retainer. I don't even know how to explain this. Redmond, I felt like took me an hour to understand it. It's like I have a contract, and then you hold that $10,000. That means my every monthly invoice would be about $1,000 or so less. You know, like it would come out until the end when it was like, here's the 10,000. I know. That's how I feel. Redmond can try again, but like, it's a retainer. It's a retainer. So it just know that I couldn't do that. I have people I have to pay, and so I couldn't take a lower invoicing amount monthly, and that's why. But if there's an opportunity to just invoice directly for a specific facilitator, I'm happy to do that. I just wasn't able to do it up front. Like, I can't fork over that money.
So I do have
Can I ask
questions.
a question, please?
Chair,
Oh, yeah.
whenever you're ready.
Oh, sorry.
If that's okay. I'm sorry, I can't hear, but can I just get a better understanding? Because if it was already in a contract that was signed, that this $10,000 would have been, so can someone explain to me why that would be reviewed after the fact of signing the contract to take away the $10,000?
It's not taking,
Maybe I'm misunderstanding.
no, it's not
Yeah.
taken away. I remember discussion.
The mechanism
so
with
many
which.
meetings ago that we were trying to use it separate from yours. I remember the conversation. So it's you still have the 10,000 on
Theoretically.
yours. It can't be reallocated for things outside of the contract.
It is in
but-
my contract, but I have not invoiced for it. So I don't want people thinking I'm sitting on $10,000.
Yeah, no.
I don't have it. But yeah.
You could use it.
But I could use it. It's just that I'm not willing to upfront that cost. But I'm sorry, Commissioner Simmons. Does that answer your question, though, Chair Dillard?
So you're saying, just so I understand, that you would have to pay first and then being reimbursed. Is that what I'm understanding?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, that's one way of thinking about it.
Okay.
We can talk
Thank
to
you for
Redmond about
explaining.
retainers later.
No, but you have an invoice. It can be submitted for payment to the city. The city pays you, and then you pay the person. It doesn't matter.
Correct. I could do that, and I'm definitely willing to do that. That's just not how it was envisioned in the first place. In the first iteration, it was a lump sum of $10,000 that we would be able to expend based on community need, and it became clear that the city was just not like set up for doing it that way. So we went round and around, and I feel like we can talk about it though in terms of invoicing. But yes, Commissioner Simmons.
Yeah.
Chair, will you be recognized to me?
Yeah. Sorry. I'm looking at, yes. Interested.
Okay.
Your question,
So I
sorry.
just want to make sure that I have this clear. Deputy City Manager Jones, there are two buckets. There are the bucket that we asked for probably in August, maybe the beginning of September. There was the discussion around $10,000 that we have the ability to be able to use. We said we wanted $10,000 because we didn't really have to go to the city council. It was something that could be, in essence, approved. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Of that $10,000, I believe you're showing us information that $6,000 of that has been used. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
And based on the current agreement, the way that it is currently set up, the initial plan was is that phase one would be over, and the money, the $10,000 was for phase one, and so it would be used during phase one, which was scheduled to be over at the end of October. Is that correct?
That's right.
The $10,000 that we're talking about, that was a part of the contract that was given to the consultants, or given to the consultants, or to one of them, was a part of the money that was around the consultant's fee that came out of the bucket of money for the
GRC.
Facilitation
Yeah.
team.
I want to call it Million Man March, which clearly it's the wrong thing. But tell me,
Black Lives Matter.
Oh, yeah.
Black Lives Matter,
Yes.
Black Lives Matter Fund. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Of the money that, in essence, is allocated for that, if there is money that is not used, then that money continues to stay within the fund.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That is right.
The question that exists, I think, of what I'm hearing is that there could possibly be some money that is in the budget of the $10,000 that we have the ability to use, that could, in essence, come from the contract, depending on what the interpretation is. So some of the consultant fees that are listed here, there is a possibility that that could happen.
So to be even clearer, I think the fees for Mendoza Consulting, the question is, could those fees be paid from within the contract of Astique Planning? Astique Planning has a item within their contract called local groups. At the time, local groups wasn't necessarily totally identified which local groups those were. I think the argument could be that
This could qualify.
Mendoza Consulting was a local group, and so therefore the $3,275, instead of coming out of the commission's $10,000 request, could then come out of the contracted $10,000 line item, which is a part of Astique Planning's contract, which, by the way, they haven't exercised or used. So it sits there, and primarily the reason was if they would have taken it at the beginning, they would have had to pay taxes on it, and it would have created a larger tax burden for them. So instead of doing that, we had talked about ways of maybe having the city have some participation in directly doing it, so it wouldn't actually touch Astique Planning's hands as a way to save in the tax burden. That wasn't ultimately allowed. The legal's like, no, you can't really do it. They just either have to use it or not use it. And so to this point, they haven't used it. So I think that the benefit is, well, we might use it and we just use it for this amount. We don't have to necessarily use it for the whole 10,000 amount. We can use it for just this amount. This would then give more room for the commission should something come up within the phase one. And that's basically the proposal. If I covered it a little clearer that time?
I think so.
Okay.
We didn't get into retainers, so I think everybody's eyes aren't crossed.
So there's still more questions that I have, and I just want to make sure that I'm clear about this. Who dictates how much of the money that we have the ability to use for Black Lives Matter?
So the city council, ultimately, I think it's been clearly committed $420,000 for the facilitation.
I understand that part. I just
Okay.
want to make sure that I'm clear. Is who has the ability to dictate that? So, for example, the city council gives us the power to do things. Did the city council give us the power to dictate if that money is used or not? Let's say the $400,000. Is it given to us, or is it, in essence,
Okay.
not given to us, and there has to be some mechanism that, in essence, allow that money to be allocated in a certain way?
Gotcha. I see. They would be not given to the commission outside of the facilitation dollars. So those are the only dollars out of that fund that you would say the commission has some a room or authority over how that contract is executed. Any recommendations that comes from the truth-taking process, I think the commission can make recommendations to the city council that could involve those funds in exercising the implementation of any of those type of recommendations, but that would still have to have city council approval.
A certain percentage of the work has already been done. Would you say it's 80%, 30%, 50% of phase one?
Of phase one, for just my facilitation team or the larger facilitation team for phase
Your
one?
facilitation team.
I would say we're about, I guess, technically a month out
Not based on the time, based on the work.
on the work.
So based on the work that you've already done, based on the strategic doing that has been done, you've done several sessions, right? I don't believe what it did. Well, let me go back to the question. What is it you think the percentage is that's already done?
For phase one, just phase one,
Phase one?
yeah. It's hard because I feel like we have so much more work to do, so it's,
Could we say 90%?
I don't know if I would say 90, maybe 80. I'd say 8. I'd be comfortable with 80, I guess.
When you think about the 20% that needs to be done, what would that 20% be?
So it's a lot of the training, attending meetings, facilitating, during training, I think, and then putting together presentation. And
Talk more about the training.
So we are, as the local partners, here to help facilitate like the truth-telling trainings. We were here for the fact-finding trainings. So we help facilitate those spaces, and we come to these kind of, so that I think is the training aspect of it. So we have the truth-telling training, and then we also have the Native Partner Circle training, so we'll be a part of that as well. Actually, if I think of that, it's probably 75%.
Still, let's go with 80%. I know it's just the estimate.
Yeah, sure. No,
and
that's fine.
It can't be real.
Keep it,
And then,
keep it simple.
then really the following question is that help me understand, based on what you think of the 20% that needs to be done, how, if at any, would the $10,000 be used for?
In our contract? Or which 10,000?
The $10,000 that is a part of the contract.
So I don't know if I would say the 10,000 part of my contract is for the entire phase 1 and phase 2. So I don't know, I guess is a good way of saying that. Like I think that when we come to like the truth telling, when we come to like events that you all come up with like strategic doing or however those things come together, we'll look for those local leaders to plug in and say, hey, we want to, acknowledge that these are time and resources that you're spending. So that's where that would come from.
Just lost me when you said that, looking for the local leaders. What I'm just trying to get to is that the $10,000 is supposed to be specifically for,
groups, yeah.
groups and local support.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is, but let's just say it is. You have 20% of the work that's left for phase 1.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that could be used. I'm trying to get a good sense of how would we use, if anything, or of any of it, how would we use $10,000 in essence to be able to, in phase 1, based on the additional work that we have to do, how would we use that, if at all?
So I don't think you would necessarily, I guess is how I want to answer that. I mean, I think that, in fact, a lot of this was probably envisioned in phase 2. Once we have a better sense of what you all want to do, then we would look to those local groups and local leaders to do those events. So I guess that would be my answer.
Is it something that you could support that we don't use it during phase 1?
Well, I will. The reason why I came up here is because I actually do think Mendoza Consulting fits under that because she was a local person that did the work. But
regardless, right now.
Yeah, I mean, that aside, that's why I came up here. But if
right?
she's paid.
But I'm just saying.
At this point, no. In phase 1, I don't see, because there's so much training and education that's happening right now, I don't really see us getting to any activities where we would be asking local people to work for the commission.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But this is based off of if we're ending in November, or the end of October. Is that?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and since we kind of invoicing kind of came up, the last invoice for October, we paid that at the end of October.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gotten invoiced by several of our facilitators for October, even though it's not over yet. And we did pay at the beginning in earlier months because startup costs and mobilization was an issue. And so we made some exceptions. The last payout is almost viewed as like the last payout of a contract. Right. Since this is phase 1 and phase 2 is not guaranteed. We basically hold that off, make sure all incidentals are cleared up and all those kind of things. And in a way, that's kind of what a retainer is kind of there for. Yes. So
like if there was a deliverable that needs to be done, that we received everything before the last part.
Right.
Yeah. I have a quick question. So Mendoza Consulting has been paid?
To my understanding, they have been, yes, and I got the nod.
The check should be sent out tomorrow.
Okay, so then this might be a matter of accounting, is if it can fall under the facilitation, it's a matter of whether it can be shifted out of this into the contract and then relieving and giving us back this money for our 10,000. Okay.
Yeah.
For now, where is it supposed to come out of? When-
At this moment, it's coming out of the TRC, I would call it discretionary fund. But we certainly will go through the process and make, if it's agreeable to the contractor and agreeable to legal, then we can certainly move that over. And it wouldn't be a problem from the city manager's perspective, as long as those entities agree.
Stephanie, is that
Yeah.
something we'd have to ask, or we have to vote on whether to do this, or is it just something that?
No need to vote, but
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure, I know you guys have approved it, and we hadn't had a chance to talk about what's been coming out of it, so I wanted to just make you aware of where we are and what those funds went towards.
Okay.
Can I have just another set of questions real quick?
Yeah, yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
V, would you be open to removing the $10,000 and giving the responsibility to the commission?
Yeah, absolutely.
Does the
Can that-
contract
no.
allow that?
Yeah,
That's,
I don't think that will be allowed from what my understanding. Could I visit directly with legal about the city taking the lead in that? And frankly, that wasn't allowed either. So you being part of the city as a city commission, I'm pretty sure the legals would say that wouldn't be allowed.
I'm sorry, but I just want to just throw this out. It's not allowed that the $10,000 can be the responsibility of the commission, correct?
That's
But it
my
is
understanding.
it is an opportunity that the commission, if they ask for, they could ask for another $10,000. Is that accurate?
That's right.
And it is a possibility that the $10,000 could just simply sit back in the fund. Would that be accurate?
That would be accurate.
So there is a possibility through the adjustments and changes, right, following the rules and guidelines of the accountants and the lawyers, that the commission can access an additional $10,000 with the permission of the city council, while the fund is committed to keeping the $10,000 that was contractually given to a consultant, but the consultant would be open to removing that from the contract. Would that be accurate?
In that way you've stated, yes. But
Thank you.
I would also say the commission at any point, especially the key word being the city council, can make requests of the city council for that 10,000 or even more funds. But we were at the time looking at what the city manager's authority would be without having to go to city council, and so that's where we were at that time.
Understood. Thank you.
I just want to, my fellow commissioners on the Mendoza Consulting, how clear were we that the 3275 would come from the TRC 10,000 when we were talking about it? Because
I'd have to go back to the minutes of how we broke it up. I know we broke up the
If I
amounts.
remember correctly, we did include that.
What's that?
I'm sorry, I'm with my niece right now, but if I remember correctly, we included like 2,500 for a consulting fee.
For consultant fee?
Oh, yeah, because
First,
we broke it
I'd
down,
have-
25, 20, yeah.
Yeah, my recollection is that, yeah, we portioned out the percentage for something was
Thank you
food,
for the reminder.
something was
Yeah, yeah.
marketing.
I
but
remember
we
that.
knew that we could adjust it if something was going to be higher or lower, but just keep it capped under the 10,000. But if we can get it to fall under the facilitator's amount of money to relieve us, to give us more money back, I would like to entertain that.
And for me, it's more because we always discussed whether the Mendoza Consulting should be on the side without us knowing what's going on in there. Because even if we discussed having people come before the TRC speaking different language, but in real time, we were involved there was translation going there and interpretation. But in this case, there was that discussion. So I guess what I'm saying, in future, even if we did allow for consultation money, the particular work that was done away from the TRC, that one we always had those discussions.
And I was able to pull up the meeting minutes. So for budget for Phase 1, Commission decided to keep the proposed budget at $10,000 and place $2,500 in each category. And those categories were special meetings, community marketing, special events, miscellaneous pilot programs.
Okay. So you're saying that when, if there is a consulting or something, that there's more discussion up front before
Yeah,
going into it?
because many a time we did bring out that even if not English was being used in those sessions, we've not done that before, and
Well, that's why I think it falls more under the facilitator's contracts, you know, in the sense, because that was one of the facilitators' meetings, and that technically that should have been under,
yeah, because
that,
we did agree for the money to go to consulting, but it wasn't specific.
Right.
Mendoza Consulting, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say in very many words.
I agree.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any more thoughts on this agenda item? Thank you, Redmond. Appreciate it. And we'll look more into that one for the, okay, thank you. Next, agenda number 7, changing Phase 1 timeline. Before I ask Commissioner Simmons to discuss the item, is there anybody in the public that wishes to address or comment on the item? Anybody online? Okay, then I hand this over to Commissioner Simmons, please.
I think we've been under tremendous time pressure in order to get work done, and I think that pressure creates diamonds, but it also creates pain. And I think maybe the experience of pain has been a little bit too much without the riches of the diamonds. I would like to make a recommendation or make a motion and make 2 different motions. But the first motion is that in order to increase the learnings and reduce the pressures on the staff, consultants, and commissioners, I move that we change Phase 1 completion date to be no later than March 31st, 2024.
Do I have a second?
When was Phase 1 supposed to be completed?
The end of October.
I feel like March is kind of a longer, kind of too far out. Is there anything that's kind of intermediary?
Well, only thing about it is that we have holidays in between, which
Yeah.
kind of messes up with some of the scheduling of activities. So that would be like no later than. If it ends sooner than that, that'd be fine. We just
Oh, I
don't- we don't-
see. Okay, so we
we're
can
saying-
still get things done sooner if we...
Yes, yes. We just don't want it to, yeah, to go no later than that.
Oh, I'm cool with that.
And especially because December, it's always so difficult to get anything done. Yeah, until like January, maybe 4th, or the day after New Year, after January 1.
I would second it. I think it's a good idea. We've been shoving a lot of stuff into a short period of time, and this is important and vital work to try to just kind of shove it all in quickly.
From someone that's been on this commission for almost 2.5 years, it feels frustrating. But I'm also, and frustrating in the sense that, yeah, like we waited for so long and then now all of a sudden we're having meeting after meeting after meeting, and it does feel very rushed. So yeah, I guess that makes sense because it's been overwhelming and I can't even make half the things because they're coming up all of a sudden and I already have my year planned out, you know what I mean? So I think that's a good idea.
Something else I want to add to this ask is also, I'll talk more on this when we come to agenda item 9 and 11, the piece of reconciliation. It's one of the pieces that will even keep going after the TRC work is there. We'll use a bit of time. I will suggest to clarify that and what really goes into it beyond, other than circles and strategic doing. So that huge piece is asking time, and as Commissioner Sakawis has said, we've been preparing for so long to do this, and now we are kind of, especially the reconciliation piece, I wouldn't want us to kind of just be checking up a point, which is a bullet point, which is how it's feeling right now. But that's my support of the motion. So if we come to vote on it, I am going to be a yes.
So I'm just, excuse me, I was under the impression we had to give a report of some sort to the city council. If we postpone phase 1, does that postpone the report?
It's not being postponed, it's extended.
If we extend the time, do we extend the time we have to give the report?
Yes. The report has to do with the end of phase 1. So instead of the end of phase 1 happening end of October, it will happen no later than March.
March. Okay.
Be fixed my rise again. So the phase 1 deliverable is actually a presentation. The end of phase 2 is a final report with full recommendations. So the end of phase 1 was always meant to be a pause and a reflection. How are we doing? Are we on the right track? What do we want to recalibrate to move into phase 2, which is a lot of the, as we were talking earlier, a lot of the activities, a lot of the events, things like that, to make sure that things are on track for that. So just wanted to clarify that it wasn't a report that was coming at the end of phase 1. It was a presentation and kind of like a check-in with city council, to say like, this is where we're at. So just wanted to clarify.
Right. So is there any downside to doing this with respect to the city council?
So with respect to the city council, I mean, I think that I'll just speak from the facilitator's perspective, that would be extending our contracts. So that financially, potentially could be a difference.
I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. And I don't think, but I would like to go ahead and still call for the motion as far as the vote on the motion. But I wouldn't necessarily agree that it has an impact on the contracts. I think that's even a separate question.
Sure, I'll pose it as a question. Will it have an impact on our contracts?
I'd love to get the motion.
Well, we've got a motion and we've got a second.
Okay, so any more discussion? Okay,
Yes.
Commissioner, well,
I have my hand raised.
do you want Commissioner Dillard had her hand up?
Commissioner Dillard?
I guess I want to say that I do agree that we need more time, and kind of to what V and Commissioner Simmons was saying, I would love to know what that could mean, and I want us to have the full picture of what it means if we choose to extend our phase 1. And I mean, the contract is saying that the facilitators end October 31st, so the option is that they continue with us until March 31st and they don't get paid, or we look at extending the money. So I think we need to talk about that and what that looks like. So I think we need to have that full picture. I mean, I'm not saying which way to move forward, but it is a discussion.
So basically you're saying that for us to fully vote on the extension, that we do need to have the discussion about the funds Is that,
Yeah, we need to I'm saying we need to understand what this looks like. Because as of right now, the way I understand it, the contract for phase 1 ends October 31st. We do not have any dollars to move past phase 1 to extend the contract for facilitators, which I'm okay with if that's what we want. But that means that we're asking our facilitators to either continue with us for free, or we don't have facilitators until we believe that we're ready for phase 1. And so I would love to hear more about what facilitators think. And some facilitators may have not used all of their dollars yet, but that is something we need to talk about.
Chairman
make
Dillard, I think I would like to give you my general thoughts. The motion does not change the work that is being done. The motion changes our time frame of when phase 1 is over with. They still have to do the exact same work. If they finish the work early, or they finish the work on October 31st, and the work is done on October 31st, and then we don't use them. If we're asking for additional work to be done, then maybe that's a question. But I'm not suggesting that we ask for additional work. I'm simply giving us more time to digest so that the plan that we as a commission put together falls under phase 1. And we don't move into phase 2 until we feel comfortable that we understand what we have put together. So I totally disagree and would not support giving more money for the work that is being done. The motion just simply asks that we as a commission have more time to digest the work. And if they tell us that they are finished with the work that they've done, they fulfilled their commitment to us, or they fulfilled their commitment to the staff, or they fulfilled their commitment to the city council, then I think that we should accept that as the work for them has been completed, but not the work for us.
Yes, I agree with you, Commissioner Simmons. And I think we are on the same page. I think there are some differences when it comes to how the contracts have been paid out, and how things are. I just think there needs to be some discussions just so we understand and we're all on the same page. I do agree with you, though.
Can I add something?
yes, please.
I spoke with city attorney about this particular potential. This is an important step. This is just a first step. We would still need to speak with the consultants, and they would have to also agree. And it still may also need to go to city council because the time could construe or could be constituted as a substantial change. City attorney wasn't 100% sure if it would or not because it doesn't change the dollar amount, but that's something that's still yet to be determined by the city attorney. So it's potential that we would likely need to have the commission buy-in, but we would also have to get the buy-in by the consultants, and it would be all of them. And then at that point, we still may need to still bring it to city council just to say that all these parties agree, and it would be expected or assumed that the city council would also agree. So all those entities would need to play a role in this change, but this certainly would be an important first step.
This is Commissioner Johnson. That's my fear. I just hope this doesn't turn into something that's going to become an issue later on down the line. Is there any real exact reasons why that we can discuss? I agree that we need to talk about this a little bit on scheduling and why this is something that we have to kind of bump down a little. I hear the stress, and I'm curious about a little bit more. Could we go in more detail with it?
I mean, about like
The stress that everybody's having.
why we're asking it to be extended, or
And
Because things are being rushed.
rushed. All right. What are your
And-
thoughts on rushed?
I mean, we've had about like, I don't know, 15 meetings in just 2 months or something like that.
And we still have,
like, none of us are getting paid. Like, this is like almost a part-time job now. And that's not okay, you know? Especially when you're forcing this kind of labor on BIPOC folks, you know, and this is a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and we're supposed to be changing things so BIPOC folks aren't using their emotional and physical labor to fix the problems that white people created. And like, then all of a sudden, we waited for like, what, 3 years to get some stuff done? We yelled, we fought, we did everything we could, and then they're like, oh, okay, you can go now. And then all of a sudden, we're supposed to just rush around like on their schedule. Like, I truly believe that this has been too much. I haven't been able to make half the stuff because, like I said, I'm an executive director of a nonprofit, and I am a busy person. I'm a single mom. I can't just do all that. And like, do we, like, honestly, like, Marie's a single mom. And so, like, okay, let me just drop everything in my life just to, like, do this. I mean, honestly, like, I love this idea, and I think it's a brilliant idea. And so I'm sorry, I'm getting kind of mad because, like, I have felt really frustrated lately at how much has been thrown at us, like, all of a sudden. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I want to add to something Commissioner Simmons had said earlier. So TRC, our time so far has been flexible. We've been able to push back on time. So, but then here the facilitator, as Commissioner Chad said, if their time, and now I'm thinking, were they contracted on time or work? Then the other thing, it's tied to the language. The TRC had 3 charges, and we are being helped by facilitators: fact-finding, truth-telling, and reconciliation. Like I had said earlier, Commissioner Cliff, there's the reconciliation piece. Even in the contract and proposal, we had the wording healing/reconciliation, keeping to the TRC wording and charging. I'm feeling maybe we also need a bit of time to revisit that with our local facilitators. Because what I keep seeing on the documentation is circles and strategic doing. Maybe I'm just a slow learner, but just understanding the jump from healing, reconciliation to strategic doing and circles. But from the research out there and the education we've had so far on TRCs, and thank you, City, for paying for that, for some of us to take those courses, and the materials you gave us, which were bought, reconciliation and healing, strategic doing is a method to do certain activities that start as we do TRC work and beyond. Circles is a piece of the support and the counseling and the therapy to those who have been harmed. There are other things, maybe they were said, but they are still in our trainings and explanations as we worked with our local facilitators. But reconciliation and healing, the major thing, they use the word restorations of the harmed, relationship between the harmer. This time we are talking of racial injustice and oppression, and those who have been harmed by that, and the people who have caused harm. So reconciliation and healing is mainly between those two groups. The word restoration, I don't know whether I want to use that because I don't know whether there was ever a good relationship between the oppressors through or racial injustice, but more of creating good relationships. So we are needing time. In terms of asking for time, we are needing time even between ourselves and the local facilitators who are helping us. to work on this and ask commissioners to really be clear on what, and Chadi already started it by giving us a framework. And I remember saying, can we put back the language of our charge, reconciliation, and say what activities, because it includes restoring relationships, and some of the ways other TRCs have done, and we are already on that. Fact-finding, we've started, and so far, for me, it's going as it should. Truth-telling, it was made very clear by the facilitator of that, even the difference between the two. On healing and reconciliation, on other racial injustice, truth-finding, one of the things which has been part of those conversations, reparations, accountability. I already mentioned counseling and therapy things. That one, we already have that. We have the circles. And we have strategic doing, helping us do some of these things. Then there is also, it also involves compensation, promotion of understanding. And Lou and Cliff, some time back, you mentioned empathy. It's also part of that reconciliation. So we need time to talk about all these pieces. Then in fact-finding, we mentioned systemic reforms. So here we mentioned, during fact-finding, we called it safety, public safety, which could also be called reform in our security forces in our city. Then there is also, we mentioned legal reforms. There is also governance reforms and dealing with racial injustice there. Then we also mentioned memorizations. So those are still also part of reconciliation. Then the other piece of that is involvement of the harmed members of our community, making sure that we are involving them in all these processes. So, Commissioner Cliff, that is part of the reasons why the TRC is asking for an extension of phase 1, because I went back, looked at our charge, reconciliation, and feeling it's very anemic right now, what is going on. We need to go there and get serious and not check a box.
I fully understand that. One of the reasons why I said a long time ago that our commission isn't something that should be temporary and should go on and on is because there's a lot of work to do. I absolutely understand that. I just want to know how that's going to affect the city. That's all, and how they are going to react to us, and not anything other than that. I understand how much work we got to do, and I'm a father, I'm a soccer coach, I'm a gym coach, a business owner. I got a lot on my plate too. I got shows I'm doing, there's a lot going on. I totally understand, and I sympathize and understand everything that you're saying there.
You're just afraid that there's going to be backlash.
Exactly. I do not feel like any more backlash, because we've had enough of that too long, and that irritates me a lot, because I want to get things done, and I don't want them to say, oh, well, because you did this, now we can't do that. I don't want to hear that.
I mean, I
Like
guess we
said,
can just see
I
what they say,
respect-
right?
Say again?
I guess we can see what they say.
I wouldn't mind that at all. I definitely-
Like, can someone approach them and find out, or
That's what I would appreciate. I think that would make a
who
lot of
does
sense.
that?
Just to see where their
Everybody's
mind
looking at, like, I don't want to do it.
I think
Not me.
they look at the minutes from all the commissions, and the vote would definitely require staff to contact the facilitators and make sure that they're okay with it. And so I think there's no downside to taking a vote. And certainly it still has to have the facilitators buying on board with it. And the council also, I'm not going to pretend to know what the council is going to do, but if they don't support it, then the original contract holds, right? And so I think the challenge for the commission, which I think was, very well articulated. But I think the challenge for the facilitators is there's timelines that I think that even they, at least some of them, find challenging and aggressive. So frankly, if you miss a timeline, contractually speaking, there's no phase 2. So I think there is a motivation for everyone to come together on an agreement that can be a win-win. So I just throw that out there.
Redmond, so if we, vote to present it to the city to extend, realistically, when would it potentially be on the agenda for the city? Because I know you said we'd have to go to the facilitators and talk with them. So
The next meeting would be October 17th, and I believe we would have enough time potentially to get on that agenda. If not, then November 2nd.
okay, if the meeting,
would
that
be-
was just too late. So if
That's not going to work, yeah.
if the city council meeting it's October 17th, the agenda has to be posted when? I'm looking at you,
For
Stephanie.
the city council?
For the city council, yeah.
The city clerk's office usually posts it on the Thursday before the
The Thursday
meeting.
before.
What date is that?
It would be the 12th.
Good one.
Okay, look, October, okay.
So next Thursday.
So
So this is
so basically,
if we're denied, we're kind of cutting our,
well, it's still going as it's planned right now, but the question is if the facilitators can get back, or you can talk to the facilitators and get an answer back by the 11th, whether if they're on board with the extension.
Yeah, how much time they may need to determine that is hard to say, but we can certainly get out the information. I think we have a meeting scheduled tomorrow anyway, so we can certainly get that information
And-
out to them pretty soon.
And still, it's a matter of like, it's no later than, if it might only be a month or whatever else, so it's still saying no later than whatever else, but
Yeah,
we can, basically, we're talking about facilitators having an answer back by the 11th so that it actually can be on the agenda for the city council on the 12th.
and frankly, we're not going to be recommending that anyone stop work.
No, it's like we're
Right,
still.
so they're still on the same time frame.
Yeah, we still
It's
have
just-
things scheduled for the rest of this month. So the
Right.
question is having some more breathing room.
So if
Okay.
that's going to make sense for them as well, yeah, more breathing room should, I would think, be acceptable, but you got one facilitator out
Yeah,
there, I guess.
Could I just wanted to ask just it may just be a trivial point, but when I looked at the contract, it seemed to me that it said that the facilitators could request an extension that would then have to be approved by the TRC. That was the way it sort of was worded. Is that part of what's leading to all these approvals? Because I'm just wondering,
Yeah,
is that a better way to proceed potentially if we want an extension? If the facilitators say, look, we're looking at the work, for us to get our job done, we need the extension, we then all go, bless it, we're done. And then the city would say, facilitators said they
Well,
needed it.
but the facilitators are also operating under the TRC's, I guess, I'll say command, guidance, whatever else. And there's already been enough commissioners that feel that things are rushed and we're not
no.
actually, so it does not have to only be from the facilitators that they're requesting the extension.
Right, no, I'm not trying to say only, I'm just saying that given that the contract has that language in it, in terms of making this more seamless, if the facilitator said, look, we're looking at the work in front of us, we need more time really for this to work, the commission says, we completely agree with you, then when it goes to the city, I just would imagine that's a bit more of a rubber stamp than if it has another look to it, but that's just a feeling.
Well, it's already going to have both us and the facilitators' approval
Right.
for it to even to be, so basically, we're going to have exactly what you're asking for. So we're saying we'd like to do this. Redmond's talking about, he will have to go with discuss this with each of the facilitators to see if they're on board
Right,
with the
no,
extension.
I'm just saying the optics are different. If the commission votes 100%, we want more time, the facilitators, it looks like the facilitators have been backed into a corner. If the facilitators say, I looked at the work in front of us, we need more time, and then the commission agrees with them, it's just different when it moves on to the city.
No, it's, we're wanting an extension, but if facilitators say no, then it doesn't even go to the city, and that's it.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So,
I think Chastity had her hand up, too.
did you have your hand up,
Never
Chastity?
mind, thank you.
Oh, okay. Commissioner Simmons?
oh, she had a hand up.
No, no.
From earlier. She had it up from earlier.
All right.
It just
Did you-
hadn't been lowered.
What triggers Phase 2 work? Or let me put it
That was
differently.
a question? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's a question.
Okay.
Do we, as a commissioners of the TRC, trigger Phase 2 work?
My understanding is the city council triggers Phase 2 work.
Let's say that is. In our presentation, we then give a recommendation to the city council as far as how we should, in essence, move forward. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
Okay. The intention of the motion was to give us time to make sure that we were putting the pieces together and that we were not being rushed through the process. We have one of our consultants bring up the issue of extra funding, which is not the intention. And the second thing is you said is that even if we vote for it, if the consultants do not support it, then it doesn't go through. Is that accurate?
That's right.
So the first thing I am going to do is I am going to rescind and remove my motion.
I agree with that.
Seconded.
That's a good idea.
Seconded.
Remove your motion, and then what?
Oh, you want to know the rest of the plan?
Well,
Well, we're hoping that the consultants are going to ask for this extra time, right? Or the consult, or whatever.
Well, the consultants have a timeline that they have to hit. They have to be able to work with the schedule that we have. We have to get ready for the presentation. I think the presentation should be led by the commissioner and not the consultants. They can
It's-
consult.
I think it has to be the consultants.
I don't
as
think it
part of
does. I don't think it does.
Looking at the
It
contract,
does not.
who does it?
Well, right now, the way the
We do.
contract is written is it allows the consultants to do that. But I believe that, and even if the consultants want to give feedback, I believe that we should, in essence, make sure that the commission's word is heard. I don't believe we should have ever had the consultants talk to the ones who empowered us and tell them what we should be doing. The consultants aren't that important, and they're not that knowledgeable. To tell the city council what we, the commission, should do and how we should move forward. So what I'm doing is that I'm removing my motion. I'm taking the motion off the table. That's the first thing that I'm trying to do. And the second thing that I'm trying to do is that then they have the ability to make a decision on what they want to do. And then they still have to come to us. That's on them. Politically, Lewis is right. Politically, it's better that they ask us for time versus we tell them we want more time. They say no, and then it never goes to the board. Now we're their puppets. We're doing what they want.
But it's still a matter of whether we think they've fulfilled their part of the contract of Phase 1.
As long as that's why I'm trying to get clarity around who triggers Phase 2. Because I still think that there's work to be done even after they believe that they finish what their work is. That there's stuff that we
Right.
Is
need
it the calendar that triggers? End of October?
Well, that triggers.
in the contract.
It triggers the end of phase one. I don't know what triggers phase two.
The city council in response to the presentation.
Then I would ultimately make sure that we have a presentation of saying that we do not want phase two to go forward until once we have done the appropriate due diligence to figure out what phase two is a part of. And if it's-
Which we can't even do phase two till we know that phase one is done. But phase one is not, in my eyes, unless I'm seeing it differently, it's not just the facilitator's contract. It's also the commission's work, whatever else. And if we see, if the facilitators say they've done their part contractually for phase one, but we still have unfinished parts or questions, whatever else that we need to work through, that still needs to be done before a final presentation to the city.
But we're talking about the update, which is supposed to be the first meeting in November, which I believe is like the 6th or 7th. So there's an update, which is a pause, right?
That was supposed to be my understanding, the presentation, because phase one was supposed to be done at the end of October. But, I mean, just look we have October 25th and 26th is the truth-telling training sessions, which is all still part of phase one. So we can't even say that phase one's even done when part of it hasn't even been conducted yet.
So you understand the challenge I'm having is that we're in a situation that we can't stop it without them, as a consultants, without them agreeing to it. We can't even stop it. If we let it go, then it's probably still going to be incomplete, right? And we still then have to make sure that there's a presentation. We're put in a situation for a commission that we can't really win here. The only thing that we can do is prevent phase two from being triggered so that we have the ability to get our thoughts together about where we are.
Yeah, because, phase two can't even start until we're comfortable with the presentation that's going to the city.
Can I ask a question? Because I know everyone is saying that phase two can't be triggered until city council, but where is that coming from?
I think
Since
Commissioner
when,
Simmons, yes.
I thought that it's our commission. I thought that we guide the facilitators, and we've already contracted them to do phase two. So where does it say that the city council has to approve us or trigger us to go on to phase two?
I don't think
Please help me if I'm misunderstanding.
that phase two was not a Redmond. I'm sorry.
You guys are introducing some new things here that I'm trying to figure out what the contract says. But I'm sorry, go ahead. What was the list? So I guess what I'm looking at immediately, I guess, is the presentation to City Council and progress evaluation. So that's clearly stated in at the end of phase one. I'm trying to find language that creates the trigger. I've always been told that the city council would look at that, evaluate that, and give direction to continue. But I'm trying to find actual language. So
I think in the contract, it says phase two no later than 4 months following completion of phase one.
You have a facilitator here. Could we invite our facilitator to explain it to us? Because
sure. So, VFix My Rise. I'm not looking at the contract, and this is also new information to me, so I would probably defer to Redmond in terms of the specifics of the contract. I do want to say, because it feels really adversarial in some ways, that we're the consultants and you're the commission. We're here to serve you. So, let us help you do what you need to be doing, right? Like if you are wanting to extend phase one, I think that we just need to understand, what is your plan? Like, how can we help you present to city council? The language in the contract, I'm pretty sure, is like, yes, we are working on the presentation in collaboration with the commission and city staff, but it is it is important to us that the commission be fully empowered. And so there doesn't need to, it just, I don't know, it just feels really adversarial, and I don't know why.
It should be adversarial.
But why?
The reason why it should be adversarial is because there is responsibilities that we all have.
Sure.
You contractually have a responsibility with the city. There's a contract with the city that the city or we, the city, have to fulfill whatever that obligation is. But we also have an obligation because we're on a commission, in essence, to fulfill the responsibility. The way that things have been put together, they've been put together so that there is a sense of who is running what. Who is the consultants running things? Is the commission running things? If you can take a look at what we have done over the past 4 months, right? And so I've been involved since August. So August, September, and then October. I've been involved for the 3 months, right? So we can take a look at what's been done there. I don't believe that we would have enough information to be able to justify how we're going to do one thing versus another. Everything right now is practice. We have consultants who are going to be communicating to us almost like 7 days before we're responsible for meeting, that couldn't meet with us because their schedules didn't permit, couldn't meet with us. Money that's being paid, but still work not being done. So the way the system is set up is, as of right now, in my opinion, the commission is losing. And that means the city is losing. And that means the people are losing. So the only ones that are winning are the consultants.
So I just want to reframe that, because you're talking about, I'm assuming, the Native Partners canceling. Is that what you're talking about?
No,
the 7
what I'm
days?
trying to talk about is that we're designed to put together a system. And in putting together a system, we have to have all of the pieces so we can have the conversations. There are additional conversations we need to have once we see and experience some of these pieces.
I think, can I add to that? Would you mind? Like, I think, because I don't think he means adversarial in the sense that, like, there's hostility, but just like, you know how I was voicing my frustration from how, like, I can't do all this, right?
Yeah.
And like, so what he's saying is like the commissioners are losing right now because like we can't keep up with this like timeline.
Sure.
But the consultants are well winning, if you will. I don't think that's the right.
We're just trying to do our job.
Yeah, but that's not the term I think we should use. Like the consultants are always going to come out. Like, okay, because you're doing your job and you're doing a wonderful job, right? And you're trying to go on the timeline that was given. So you're doing what you have to do. In the end, you're all still going to make a lot of money and like you're still going to finish and do your job. But like, what is the outcome then, right? Like who's like, because like half the commissioners can't show up to the meetings, right? And like a lot of us are feeling like the pressure. Like I've been feeling so much pressure. And so like, I think that's why like extending the timeline was like, you know, the whole purpose. Because in the end, like, you know, what I think he's saying is like the people are not going to get what they need. And I haven't even been able to be around to, you know, talk about some of the ideas I have, you know, in terms of these strategic doings and, you know, like how I think that we should actually be with the people and not like the leaders per se, you know, because we're kind of doing a top-down hierarchical kind of thing right now. And, you know, it'd be cool to kind of like add some of those like grassroots ideas into it. I don't know, does that make that, does that help?
Well,
Like,
I think
okay.
that like what I was trying to say was that like, I don't think there will be an issue at all with extending it. We just needed to talk about it. So it was kind of the first real conversation we've ever had about extending it.
Yeah. No. I totally agree
It was
with what you're
more of
saying.
like I guess, yes. I want it to be successful. We want it to be successful. We're here to serve you. An extension, I don't think, is an issue. We want you to be fully engaged to the best of your ability. We do have timelines. We do have things that we have to meet. And I'll be totally honest. The 3 months and the 4 months was to try and meet when the commission was going to be decommissioned. That was the only reason why we chose 7 months.
Oh, well, that's interesting. I mean, that's interesting that we're talking about that
The reason
now. Yeah.
why, so that was 2 years ago. I mean, truly.
Yeah.
And then you were able to extend the time of the commission. And we were like, oh, great. Well, we're still working under the same contract. And we did that because of what Commissioner Johnson is saying. We didn't want to go back to the council and say, well, now, if we're going to be doing a year's worth of work, then it's going to be, I'll just be honest, it's just going to be more money because it's more time. And we didn't want that. We wanted to do what we had and say, is this going to work? How far can we get? And that's why the pause is in there. And if there needs to be an extension, a breath, like I don't.
Yeah, so like we can still do the work, but it's just extended, right? Like, and we don't have to pay more.
Yeah,
right?
and I understand that people are flinching at that. I don't,
Yeah.
I'm only, it's literally a question. I don't understand the mechanics of the extension of phase one, and if that is what you all are
We just
looking
don't have
for.
to jam everything in. I think that's what we're
Yeah.
trying to say. So if we can, it's still the same amount of money.
Right.
It's still the same work. It's just that we're just extending things.
Right.
And like, yeah, so, yeah, and like, I'm like, you know, I would love to rely on you guys and like have you, like, you know, like you said, like we're here to, you know, support you. And I love that comment and like, thank you. Yeah, like let's do that. Let's have you, like, if you can, like help support that, like, give us the breath we need, like, and yourselves included, honestly. Like, everybody's, like, working so much right now.
Yes.
And
so I would
it's-
just invite, like Redmond said, you know, we have our meetings on Fridays, and I know the chair and vice chair attend, and we had, you know, Commissioner Simmons and Commissioner Krebs came at some point. It'd be great to have this discussion of like what this could look like, the parameters of the contract. It's all the first time we've heard it. I don't have the contract in front of me. So I think we just need a little bit more time to understand the nuance of what you're asking for so that we can just help try and make this vision successful. The other thing I wanted to say, because you had asked, like, who's going to be talking to the city about, you know, getting the extension. Like, I hope you all are talking to city councilors. Like, the more that they hear from you, the more that they are engaged and can see your face and, like, have talked to you and understand what's going on, like, the better it will be. And not obviously at once, we all understand quorum, but, like, just one-offs, you know, have coffee with some of them, call them, whatever. It will help in the long run, like, when everybody is standing in front of them giving a presentation. So anyway, but yeah, so I hope that is helpful in terms of like, we want this to be successful. I want nothing more than that. But if we could just work out some of these details, I guess. It's just the first we'd heard of it. And I'm sorry that I said more money. I shouldn't have said that. I'm just tired. I did not mean that.
Yeah, something else, commissioners, even as we get tired and facilitators, please let's put the third charge, reconciliation, back with our local facilitators, because even in the contract, it's healing and reconciliation, and it's really huge versus just having circles train and strategic doing. I don't know how we lost it or why, but let's go back to that, because if we just narrow it down to just circles, and again, I'm repeating something I've already said, but that's one of the ways where Commissioner Chad was talking about who's leading who. So how did we lose that as the local facilitator is working? How did we lose healing, reconciliation? Reconciliation is the word that is in the resolution, and that is the one that is our charge.
Maybe it's because we're not at the reconciliation phase yet? Do you know what I mean?
It runs-
Because reconciliation's like the last phase? Is that just me trying to understand
But it
that?
looks like the activities that are happening now are part of that. The circles, the trainings of the circles, strategic doing. It's
Okay.
already
I mean, yeah, I guess- I
part
guess we
of
could
those
leave it in,
activities.
yeah.
We need to start from up there. Maybe I missed a presentation on their work because it's written on the proposal, reconciliation, healing. Maybe like, and Commissioner Dillards had used about the trainings of strategic doing we had. There was a disconnect. I'm still feeling that disconnect of their work is healing and reconciliation. So probably, as you're saying, maybe we haven't started that, but the activities so far happening from the research out there and from the looking at the other TRCs, those activities are part of reconciliation.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine with me. if you wanna-
Reconciliation was supposed to be part of phase one.
Yeah, I mean, if you.
Contractually.
That's fine.
Yeah, so.
I don't think it was left out intentionally. I think that they were just using the terms circles and strategic doings for the activity that was being carried out. But like truth, healing, and reconciliation are like always the overarching theme. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but let's not lose the word reconciliation at all and just go with pieces of reconciliation. It ends up being things that have always same old that
When you're
haven't
saying
achieved.
we use circles, like you want to call it truth, healing, and reconciliation circles?
Our charge as commissioners, let's keep looking. We were given, or the facilitator, to help us with our 3 charges. So let's keep our eye on that. Fact finding, is that going as it should? Truth telling, what is it? Is it going as it should? Then the other piece, reconciliation. Are we still with it? Where is that?
Yeah,
And
I
it's
guess I
been-
just don't understand, but yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fine with me.
So,
Chastity has her hands up.
Chastity?
I just want to say, can everyone hear me? I'm sorry if it's delayed.
Yes.
Awesome. I just want to say, like, and I hear what you're saying, Commissioner Gaffula, not losing things, and I just want to try to help everyone remember that this is practice. It's been barely 60 days of actually doing the work because we spent almost 3 years trying to get to the point so we could do the work. So there's gonna definitely be missing pieces, and that's why we're learning alongside the facilitators is how I see it. I just think that we need to remember that, give ourselves grace, and push forward. And just remember that this is, like a lot of you've already said, has been very, like, fast. It's been barely 60 days. So that's all I want to say.
Sorry. I was pointing out something on the contract as going from phase 1 to phase 2. So back to you gave a motion, you rescinded your motion. Where are you still rescinding that we should go till the end of October, or?
So what I've been thinking of is what I really want to do is how to extend our commission's time without getting support from the consultants. And I believe the consultants would support it, but I don't want their support, if you understand what I'm saying.
Wait, what?
We,
Sorry, can you explain that?
but it's already been explained that
Go ahead.
they would have to be, both parties, the facilitators as well as the TRC, have to be in agreement for
The extension.
The extension.
Like I said, I don't want their support for the extension. And I believe that they would support it. I don't want to be put in a situation where it happens because they choose it to happen or not happen. So for example, we vote and everyone votes yes, and they say no, then it doesn't happen.
But I don't think that they're going to say that.
It doesn't matter to me whether they say yes or no. It's that they have the power to dictate. It's what Lewis said. They politically have the power. They're controlling us as a commission. We're not controlling them as consultants. So I don't want to be put into the situation where they have the power to make a determination about what we're doing.
So does that mean that we should reword something like that's written down somewhere that's making you feel this way? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because I know that that's not what they want. Like, I don't think that our consultants are trying to have that power. So like, if we want,
That's what.
yeah, if that's what's bothering you, like, can we reword something?
It's kind of like to me, it's kind of like, and I'm saying this loosely, it's kind of
Yeah.
like going to the oppressor and asking the oppressor for
No, and I totally get what you're saying. Yeah.
I ain't doing it.
No, I'm there with you.
It's not even
Yeah.
whether they say yes or no. It's that I'm not asking the oppressor. You with me?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so like we need to fix the problem at its source, which is like if that is like And I mean, we love our consultants, right? But I mean, like, technically, if they do have that power over the commission, yeah, that does bother me because, like, this is supposed to be run, by BIPOC folks, right? So, like, if we can figure that out, that would be really great.
Redmond.
I was just going to say, so I'm listening to the conversation, and contractually speaking, all parties need to agree to have an extension. It's clearly stated here. And now, going to your point about renegotiating or anything, there's also a termination clause. There's the ability to terminate and then renegotiate, I would assume, if that's what you're getting at. I'm not trying to say, but the commission has the power to terminate, and there's a clause, and I gotta take my glasses off here a second. The city may terminate the agreement upon 7 calendar days with written notice to the consultants. So there's, I'm hearing that there's always that ability of the commission to be able to do that, and I assume that if there's some language that you don't like that's in the contract, then you could address it at that point.
Well, let me ask for what I'm looking for, but after
There's
the
Yeah,
commission.
Lois. So Lois has her hand up.
Hello. I wanted to just speak on the fact that I work with Think Peace, but I am also a resident of Iowa City. I am a Black woman in Iowa City. I think there is a big misunderstanding on what the role of the commission actually is. The commission is not, of the consultants. We're not here to be telling anybody what to do. We are hired by the commission. We work for the commission. And quite frankly, it is extremely harmful to spread that narrative that we are trying to manipulate the commission or work on top of the commission, because that's not at all what we're doing. And I think although you guys might not see all the work that's being done, a lot is being done in the background. This work requires a lot. As a person who's a part of this community, I want what's best for my community, and I wouldn't let anything come in the way of that. And I hope you guys can recognize that we are working as hard as we can, and we are working for you guys. We want to work with you guys. We aren't trying to be on top of anybody. And I don't want this narrative to be divisive, because it sounds very divisive. This is not an us versus you or you versus us type thing. We are all working for a common goal, and I hope that you guys realize that.
I don't think that that's what's going on here. I think that what's trying to be unearthed or talked about is the deep systematic problems that we have, and how, in the end, the systems in place still make it so that even this commission, which is supposed to be giving power to Black and brown folks to do this work, is still being and it's not the consultants that is the problem. It's still being moderated, if you will, or there's still hoops we have to go through because of contracts which were, not written, by the people for the people, if you want to say it that way. And I think that's what you're trying to get at, right? It's not that we don't trust our consultants. I think that it's just that piece of writing is not okay, right, in that sense.
Well, I do believe the consultants are here to work for us. And
And I think that's what they've all just said that very
I
clearly.
always feel they do. I would say this. I am simply trying to create an environment that allows the commission to be able to take a look at the information that's been provided to it, to digest it, and then to make sure that based on the information that we have, that we feel comfortable in what we have and where we're going before we go to phase 2. And so where I'm struggling is that it's not so much that I want to end anything, but I want us to have, as a commission, the time to, in essence, make the triggers for what next steps are. We said phase 1 and phase 2, then we want to have the ability to dictate phase 2, so that we feel comfortable that what we put together, what we've seen, how it looks, whether it really considers right truth-telling, whether the fact-finding, truth-telling, whether it's something that we feel that when we do the final presentation, that we're going to get closer to that place. So what I'm asking for is, how do we do that in such a way that we give ourselves the time without it going into phase 2 contractually?
So I would just add, I think your initial motion gets you to that point. I think Commissioner Liu brought up a good point as well, but I think the timing is working against that, because your next commission meeting wouldn't be to October 19th. There's not very much time from that point to be able to wrap all this up before November, right before the presentation. So if you want that pause, it seems like this would be the best way to get there. So at least get the clearest direction. If the consultants have issues there, or they need more time to work that through, we still have that time to be able to do it and still be able to get on the council agenda sometimes before the presentation really gets, preparation for the presentation really starts getting, to a point where the work has to be done, and the consultants can still deliver supposedly on the timeframes of their original agreement. So I would think, for time sensitivity, even though I think, and I found that language, it still has to get a written letter from the chair of the TRC after the consultants would ask for an extension. So the chair still has to give a letter to that point based on the contract, and the consultants have to agree, and then it goes to the city council. So there's still those processes that have to happen. And so I would think if you want to do that and you want to move quickly on it, it's probably your original.
I think your original motion
Yeah.
needs to be back on the table.
Well, can I just throw in one? I'm perfectly willing, if the motion gets reintroduced, to vote for the motion, because I think if the motion comes forward, I think it's important that all of us say yes rather than any one of us saying no to it, just my opinion. But what I still want to mention is I'm a bit worried that we're putting too much emphasis on this phase 1, phase 2 distinction. To me, the pause, the presentation is what's important. That something goes to the city council at this point, and they look at that presentation and they say, this is good. I don't even care what's in it. If somehow we could sprinkle dust in the room and they all said it was good, that'd be fine too, to be honest. But just wanted to say it's good, then we move on with some more serious work and move forward. And the other thing that worries me a little bit is that once we ask for the extension, there's additional pressure now. Now, we damn well better have something that's better than it would have been now in 3 months or 4 months. So we just have to keep that in mind, that we're not getting rid of pressure, really. We're potentially adding a bit more pressure, even though we're adding a bit more time. So, but that's just what.
Yeah, thank you. I agree. I think that's part of the dialogue that would be with the consultants. That's certainly one of the points. Like, the presentation could be moved. When's that presentation at that right time to be presented to council? No need to give an extension and still be rushing in the presentation. The council's going to have to evaluate that presentation, and that's clearly stated. So obviously, all the parties need to be comfortable with phase 1 before phase 2 gets started. And so that's, I think, the fairest interpretation of the agreement that we can come up right now. And if there's any part that feels like they're not 100% comfortable where we are at phase 1, it makes sense to give it time so that everything can be done and folks can be where the original contract from the consultants thought we would be at, and the commission understanding what their next phase 2 are and what their responsibilities will be. And then as the city, that we're comfortable that everything has been given the appropriate time and resources to making sure that success is lined up to be possible.
I just also wanted to say that phase one was always intended to be educational. And so when you're talking about the presentation, we're literally showing them all the things that you have done and that you have learned. I think that the added aspect of it, which I'm incredibly grateful for, is the framework that Commissioner Simmons put forward in terms of the fact-finding, truth-telling, like those buckets and like a process forward, is something that we could really could kick us into a phase two that's very intentional, right? So I think I want to be sensitive to the burden that you all are doing. We're burnt out too. I don't know if it's just my day job at the moment, but it's a lot. And so I think that there is, we want everybody to feel like we are going to be presenting the best that we possibly can. And I also just want to say that if you look at the contract, a lot of it is educational, the truth telling, the fact finding, all of those things was phase one, so that phase two we could launch into whatever that was going to be. And Commissioner Simmons has, a framework that could be doable. And so I just wanted to add that to that. I would love to have the conversation about how much time do you all want us to aim for. I also want to add that City Council is going to be going through an election the night before, you know what I mean? Or the day after. So they're going to be a little hyped up too. Timing is everything. Politics is timing in a lot of ways. So I just wanted to add that too. Happy to talk about it with any commissioners. Our meetings are on Friday mornings. We don't want to hold up the process. It was information to me tonight that you would need our permission. That was, and maybe speaks to some of the conversation being, feeling adversarial. I didn't know that. But again, it's in the contract, right? And I didn't write that contract. So, but I did agree to it. Anyway, I just wanted to add that aspect to it in terms of the phase one and what it is really supposed to encapsulate.
So I'm more than willing to give the motion again. I would still prefer that we have the meeting with the presentation with the City Council still in November and give them a summary about where we are and where we're going, a brief summary. I think that does make sense. And still focus on what the extension will allow us to be able to do. Does that make sense or no?
I like
that.
So, okay, so you're talking about, okay, the City Council would be voting on, the extension, like we said, later this month. But you're still talking about meeting with the City Council in November to give them an update?
Okay.
Yes.
I was just going to ask that clarification because there's contractual presentation to council, but then there's the commission can always have
Always
a
put an
dialogue
agenda
with the council,
to meet.
and certainly could be on the agenda to do a presentation to City Council. So I don't know which one you were looking at.
So I would leave it up to us to determine whether it is the day before election or earlier. I'm not going to get into that. I do think we just need to have a conversation with them, somehow with them, about what we're doing and why we're doing it, to make sure that they continue to support the efforts of what we're doing. I don't think that we should say, we need more time, and then it's silence, or the only thing that they have to make the determination is the minutes. I think that we have to talk to them and tell them. But I will leave that up to our chair, vice chair, and the commission to do that. I will be willing to still do the motion.
Well, I mean, I think something has to be written up anyway to the city while we're requesting this extension, so that some of that explanation, one could be in that presentation, or in that, what we present to the city, why we're doing this extension. So, but basically, it would be meeting on the agenda for the city when they're voting on the extension.
I will follow the lead of the chair and the vice chair.
But we need a motion.
I
Back.
move in order to increase the learnings and reduce the pressures on the staff, consultants, and commissioners, in order to increase the learnings and reduce the pressure on the staff, consultants, and commissioners, I move that we change Phase 1 completion date to be no later than March 31st, 2024.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Okay, Commissioner Dillard,
Yes.
Commissioner Gathawa,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Krebs,
Yes.
Commissioner Merritt,
Yes.
Commissioner Nobis,
Yes.
Commissioner Simmons,
Yes.
and Commissioner Tassinari.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0.
I have another motion. So I move that Phase 1 include a practice example of all the parts of the model working together with a review of the expected outcomes.
Read that one more time, please.
I move that Phase 1 include a practice example of all the parts of the model working together with a review of the expected outcomes.
By the model, are you referring to TRC work?
I'm referring to whatever we agree to that is a part of the
Phase.
process of TRC or the system that we're putting together, that we actually see it all the way through, working all the way through, and then assess how well we believe that the system that we've created, how well it works.
By when?
It would have to be by March 31st, 2024. So
It's a practice run.
It's a practice run, but it has to happen within Phase 1. Whenever we want Phase 1 to end, but no later than March 31st. Right now, the pieces are separate, right? We've done, let's say we've done reconciliation first, and then we've done fact-finding, and, right, we've done them, but we're going to eventually put them in order, whatever we think the order is, and we want to see if it works.
So but there's a sense in which what you're doing is dividing Phase 1 into two parts. There's like Phase 1A and Phase 1B. And Phase 1A is occurring before the presentation, which is telling the city council everything we've done to date, everything is great. And then Phase 1B is about creating the actual model and doing some quote, simulations of the model among the commissioners and talking about it before we move into the actual doing, which would be Phase 2. Am I hearing that correctly, or is?
Yes, you are hearing that correctly.
So what are you saying is happening right now, Commissioner Simmons?
That we're right now looking at the different parts.
Discussing it, yeah.
Since April? Since when we started this work?
Since we started in August, we were just looking at the different parts. We're not trying to put the puzzle together, we're just getting the puzzle pieces. That's what we've been doing. You brought up very good points about where, is it too, strategic doing, reconciliation, how does this fit? Are we using the right wording? We're trying to develop a system that allows our community to get to a place. And right now, we haven't yet seen all the pieces to even understand what we expect the picture to even look like, if I can best use that as an analogy. So we will probably sometime around the 27th have a good portion of the pieces. Then we have to talk about what works, what doesn't, what.
That makes sense.
On some things, do we want, someone outside of the culture doing some of the things that are, are they culturally appropriate for others to do that? Is it right? Is it those type of things we got to talk about, put it together, then we're going to test it and then say, okay, this makes sense, or no, this doesn't make sense. This is crazy.
And you know, the next 4 items on the agenda, we're going to talk about those pieces, our charges,
Some
our
of
three
it.
charges. We're going to talk about, I guess, what has happened and the way forward.
Well, in looking I actually looking at the contract on my phone, but that phase 1 talks about, there's the education, truth-telling team, Iowa Healing, reconciliation training, strategic planning, doing sessions, there's begin data collection, fact-finding, and then the last part is, the recommendations, for moving forward. So maybe, I think before we just go to the city, we have the facilitators meet with us after we've had all the parts, and that's that part of that recommendation, that is sort of like maybe how are all these things put together, and how can we see this actually?
Right, so a part of it is
Right.
like, we have this hypothesis. We think this is going to work. So we're going to share, we're going to go to city council and say, this is what we think. This is what we think we have, and this is what we think it's going to look like. Now, we're going to go and test it. But in general, this is a 50,000-foot view of what we think. Then we're going to test it, and then we're going to say, this doesn't work, or we need to shift this or change this over here, or we need to get more of this feeling or this over. And then, once we have that, plus we have all the fact-finding information, we have all the data, then.
Oh, well, I guess some of the data. I don't think we'll have all the data collection, but we will have.
By what time?
Well,
They say 2 months. We'll have something from what we did.
some data collection is supposed to be occurring in phase 1. More of it would be happening later, but yes.
So my thought is that for the November meeting with the city council, this is what we think. This is a big view, big picture view. We're going to go off and do some more work. That's why we've asked for more time to be in phase 1. But this is what we think big picture. Now, in phase 1, we're going to go in and we're going to see how these pieces all fit together. When will we have experienced all the pieces? By what time?
By the end of October.
So let's say the 28th of October, that's my birthday. Happy birthday to me. So the 28th on the Saturday.
Well, except the extension that we're asking for is going to be voted on before then.
I understand.
So, but this next motion that you were asking about was that, basically, when we finally do say phase 1 is wrapping up, that before we actually do that, the true presentation to the city of what we came together with for phase 1, that we meet with the facilitators and actually have.
What I'm saying is that the second part of the motion was just simply to say, within phase 1, there's an example of the system and how well it works. We get to see the car if it runs or not, if it moves forward or not, and we get to make adjustments. That happens way after the presentation that we're working with the consultants on. We're just talking to them about, this is the direction we think we're going. This is why we asked for more time last week, because of the direction that we're going. And we want you to understand that we're going in the right place. And then we would take the rest of the time, including what's going to happen during the holidays, to finish building this vehicle and seeing how comfortable we feel with this vehicle as it relates to what we want it to help us achieve. And then we move into a phase 2.
So then we should probably have, at the end of the new and revised phase 1, another scheduled presentation to city council before we move into phase 2,
Well,
right? So they.
I still think there's only one true presentation of the facilitators and the commission of the phase one. We are going to be on the agenda with the city, just kind of give them like, which we can do at any time as a commission, an update as to why, like I said, why we do this, where we're going, just kind of keep a communication open.
So let me use your terminology, because I like your terminology better than I like mine. We're going to give them an update, which we can do anytime.
Yes.
And we will give them the official phase one presentation after we finish phase one.
Yeah, when phase one is done,
We will give them
that's
official
when the
presentation.
official, but that's,
The latest that we'll say, we'll give them the presentation,
is, which is, we said the March, whatever date we said.
which is the
That-
end
that
of
is-
March. It's the latest.
That is the latest, exactly. But we can always have requests to be on the agenda for the city council to give updates, which I think would be a good thing to do, with keeping the communication open and with the city and everything.
So I would like to come
So-
back to that, but then I think I'm on the same page as you. I'm on your page.
But one thing you're saying, though, is that we want to make sure that we get from the facilitators, is it an actual,
Well, I think the goal is we have to go to the facilitators anyway, and we have to get the support of the facilitators. So I am understanding and accepting that as the process.
Okay, yes.
But they understand, I hate that. But I acknowledge that is in essence what needs to be done. So I'm fine with that. So I'm fine with the presentation being done at the end of phase one. I'm fine with us giving them an update before the presentation. I'm fine with the consultants having to approve it.
You're speaking your
I'm
microphone.
fine with the consultants having to approve it. I'm fine with the presentation being given after phase one. And I'm fine with us giving an update, in general, I'm fine with that. So my last motion is just simply to make sure that we have a chance to practice before phase one is over. So if I will read it again, because I'm not sure whether was it seconded already?
No. We're discussing it.
So I'll just read it again. I'm saying I move that phase one include a practice example of all the parts of the model working together with a review of the expected outcomes.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Commissioner Dillard?
I'm still not clear on the language, how, Commissioner Simmons, how did we move from the 3 charges or for the commissioners to that language?
So I'm just saying that based on the charges that we have responsible, based on the charges that we're responsible for achieving, we're going to develop some systems, a model. We have identified several different pieces that we've been going through and we've been experiencing, and we'll continue to do that. And we'll put something together that allows us to achieve those charges, but we'll test it out. That's all I'm asking, for us to test out whatever model we put together to achieve those 3 charges.
Because so far, what we've been doing and being helped by the facilitators is to work on those charges, and as we go, we continue discussing, and the things that are working, we continue using them. Then, for example, today we discussed the consultancy, the Mendoza consultancy, and make changes where needed.
So the consultancy, to me, was just a discussion about, from a budget perspective, where it fits. I don't know what other discussion we've had around its effectiveness and how it fits. I don't know what, it was not my understanding we talked about its effectiveness and where it fits. Just simply that where we should pay it from.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make it clear to myself. What model and when did we get there?
And the model that I'm recommending is the model that we put together,
Which model?
whatever we create.
I'm
So-
finding it
okay.
difficult to go with something that I am not understanding.
Okay, so
It's a test run, pretty much. We're going to get everything together. We're going to get everything together once we have it all together, make sure that we run it between ourselves before we take it and move it forward to anybody else. All the information that we gather from this point in time to before March.
Information on what?
all the trainings that we're doing right now, you know, so the truth-telling,
It's working.
the fact-finding, the reconciliation, we're getting training from the consultants, and we're getting an idea of how are we putting this all together that it meets what we've been commissioned to do. Once we've put it together, we got to make sure, okay, how is this model going to work? And so we need to have that understanding and have it with the commission, with the facilitators.
I do understand what you're saying, and I understand that I'm not communicating in such a way.
Mike.
I do understand
Yes.
what you're saying, and I do acknowledge that I'm not communicating in such a way that is sufficient. I do acknowledge that.
So basically, after we've done everything in phase one with the education, the training, all these parts, we need to have an idea of what we're going to do phase two. So, and that's where talking about, once we get all the pieces together and have that concept together and have the facilitators show us how it's actually going, how it will operate.
So let me take a stab at it. So in my mind, it would be we get to a point where we say, we've come up with 6 different ways to fact find. We've come up with 5 different ways in which to engage and facilitate reconciliation. And we've come up with 7 different ways to do other things that we think are important to fulfill the mission of the TRC. So we say that, but now what we're going to do is we're all going to discuss that and run through all the possibilities. Have we missed things? Have we lost things? Are there conflicts? Are there consequences we haven't thought about? And come up with a model that says this is how we want to move forward to fulfill the TRC. At least that's the way I think about it.
I think that's accurate.
Commissioner Sakawis, from the Canadian TRC, do you have any thoughts on what we are talking about right now, about running through a model or practice or something?
No. Sorry. Well, okay. I think that I like that we're talking about like extending things. I like that we're talking about creating our own like model for how we're going to do this, because like right now this top-down approach worries me. And it just came at us so quickly. And again, that's not the fault of the consultants, because they were trying to work on this really, really tight timeline. But knowing that we can extend that makes me really happy, because in Canada, all the work was done like with the people, you know, like a lot of gatherings and meetings with the people, cultural activities with the people, to find out like what was painful for them. Like I was, you know, things like, I don't know, like we're going to talk about housing. Like it just seems weird. Like it's like we're picking a topic and we're just kind of putting it on the people, where it feels like the people should be telling, us, I guess, like, I don't know. So, like, you know, that's why I guess I appreciate that we're having this conversation, because I was like at a point where I'm like, I don't even think I'm useful here, because like I don't work that way. Like I don't work from like that kind of approach. Like, let's get all the leaders in a room and decide what like the people need, right? Like, even though we're, you know, leaders of BIPOC communities, there was a lot of white people too there, right? So that's not okay. That's still like white people like telling us what to do. So, like, I just think that, like, when I saw things going on, when our process was going on, and this was huge, right? Like, it was across the entire country. I was just like, I mean, there was a lot of stuff that wasn't good as well. Like, a lot of people that came in, like therapists and lawyers and consultants that, like, they were white, of course, and they took tons of money. They took their cut, of course, right? But, like, so there was that's the things my aunt talks about. She talked, because she was a part of that. Like, she's a social worker, so she told me the negative, like, sides of all this. But then she said, like, you know, the good sides were that, like, the people were talked to. So, like, shouldn't we just be having, like, social gatherings and getting together and just, like, having people testify? I mean, like, that's how I would imagine doing this.
So just to kind of back that up, I feel like, so the consultants work for the TRC, we work for the people. So it is kind of backwards. Like, we should have information from the people to guide us, to guide the consultants.
Yeah, and the consultants are, you know, are like, I think, you know, I don't want to see it as like, I honestly, like, think that our consultants are great, and we've been working together really well. But yeah, like, there is this definite disconnect that I think is happening, where I think everybody was rushing. And so we were doing things to try and, like, get all these things, like, handled, like, right away. And so maybe if we don't have to do that, it's going to be a much more, like, grassroots approach, and that's going to be really nice. Like, I think about that and I kind of, like, go, it's going to be good, you know? Like, it's actually going to be, like, nice to be in the community, and, like, yeah, so.
I don't think the comment was about the extension part, but asking about the model.
A and the B section.
The trial run model example.
Oh, I
before
don't know.
moving-
I can't respond to that. I don't know. I mean, us making our own model is important, I guess, right? I don't know. Right?
Then if we are,
I wasn't here to see the model.
no.
It's just happened yet.
The word is
That's
just here. That's what I'm struggling with.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the
no,
model
no,
that you
no.
came up with.
Oh, it's
Oh.
it's
So
not.
the proposal to have a test run, so after we get all the pieces of the education together,
Yeah.
to have a test run of what we've learned. Putting it all together and doing a test run
Before moving on.
before we go to phase 2.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't say anything about that. Like, I wasn't involved in.
Yeah, but you said a lot of important things. At what point are we involving the people, or are we even the communities?
That's why I wanted to have us to have more time. We had a conversation about truth giving, right?
Oh, truth
Truth giving.
Yeah.
That's been on my mind since our conversation. I looked at it as an opportunity to have a 3-day festival of people getting together to have conversations with each other about our truths and how it has impact on each other. But when do we get a chance to test that out?
I mean, like, yeah, because it's coming. That's on November 10th. So, like, here we go. You know, Russian things. It's just we're always behind. It feels like we're always behind the. What is that saying? Behind the 8 ball.
Behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
But we could take a part of the concept and push it and just do it at a different time. But understand that within the model, we're going to have this done every year, this set thing, whatever this thing is.
That would be cool. I love that idea.
Where people can really get together and we can, some of you all look at conflict as you know, problem and it being adversarial. I look at it as being the ability to get to creativity and innovation.
I agree with that.
And for us to talk about it and figure it out. I love when there is disagreement because it forces one to think about the words we use and whether our words even make a difference.
A community member
truthgiving.org.
called it energy. Yeah.
So I just am saying if we have the ability to stop focusing on, which we'll need to do, the training, and focus on the practicing of different other concepts that we want to leverage within our thing that we create, then we're going to feel good about it or argue about it and get to something better.
Commissioner Chad, you've made me think. You brought up framework. I'm assuming that the TRC could be working from. And I'm kind of thinking now what you're calling a model is filling in what are we doing when we break down the three charges. And you've made me think, so this is the educational phase from our facilitator. And I'm looking at this as a teacher or as a counselor or as a counselor educator. When you go in, and it ties in with also strategic doing. When you're going in, you have a syllabus when you're teaching a course or a class. So your students, even if they don't know the nitty-gritty content of what you are going to teach, there is an outline, and every week there's a topic. But the way I'm looking at it now, with our TRC work and working with the facilitator, we don't seem to have a course outline. Neither do they from them and from ourselves. But thank you, we were given the charges. The big topic is there. We have the charges, but the content, or maybe they gave us, but maybe, like I said, I'm a slow learner. I have to go back and see. And this is where you're saying we go through it, that content with the facilitators. They're the ones who have it, or maybe they give it to us and we don't know. And then after we are done, at the end, then we'll, because you talked about practicing.
I think that we have to create the syllabus
For ourselves.
for ourselves.
When?
And I believe,
At the end of this, phase one?
yes. I think during while we're going through it, we're putting it together. You brought up I was so proud of this model until I realized, and you brought up a point that excited me because I realized how wrong I was, that I was focusing on strategic doing versus focusing on reconciliation.
And strategic doing is the method of anything you might want to be doing in the world. So but it's brought in by one of our local facilitator, where the big topic, because these are three pieces, reconciliation. So strategic doing can run through all the aspects of reconciliation. So it can't just be that,
Correct.
Because it's a method.
Correct.
It's a method.
And then circles, healing circles, that's a piece
Yes.
of reconciliation. So, you could call it counseling, you could call it therapy, just one of the little pieces. But you've said that we'll do our own lesson plan. There are lesson plans in there, the whole syllabi,
Yes.
course outline.
Yes.
But we're doing it backwards. And I'm thinking as a teacher.
Yes.
We do it at the beginning. But now we are doing it backwards.
If we knew everything at the beginning, we could do the syllabus.
We are the ones who are supposed to have that
We're getting
as TRC.
We're getting
Information,
it
though.
now.
We're getting the information in order to create it.
Yeah, we need the education to create the syllabi.
This is pre-coursework, if you want to think of it that way.
Thank you for talking to me in my language as a teacher. Thank you. So the outline we are making is still also what you're calling a model.
Correct. It is.
Okay.
It is to create the syllabus for the work that we want to move forward. But we're gaining information, and then we will come to an agreement on what that syllabus should look like, and then we will test it.
And are we going to get the facilitator's syllabus?
No, well, technically it's our syllabus. The facilitators are helping us to fill in,
Hours.
to get the information so that we can actually construct the syllabus.
Teacher's assistant.
Okay.
They're
Thank you.
helping
Thank
us
you.
along.
Yeah.
They are specialists in certain areas, but we're trying to put their specialties together to make something bigger.
Okay, and I am hoping we also work on putting the communities there, because thank
They're-
you, Commissioner Sakawis
They're gonna be
and
part
Murray,
of it.
for
They're gonna be
bringing
part of
that back.
constructing it.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Help us with the topics, so, yes.
So do we still have to vote on the motion?
I would like for us to.
Yes.
Okay.
I second it.
Okay. Commissioner Dillard?
Yes.
Commissioner Gathua?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Krebs?
Yes.
Commissioner Merritt?
Yes.
Commissioner Nobis?
Yes.
Commissioner Simmons?
Yes.
And Commissioner Tassinari?
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0.
Okay. Now we're on to agenda item 8.
And Chair, or Vice Chair Merritt, actually, Dr. Schuler and Laurel cannot join this evening. They sent an email, and just being mindful of everybody's time this evening, I can read the email, and probably you can then move on to the next agenda item.
That sounds good to me.
Okay, let's see. So they wanted me to mention that Commissioners Krebs, Nobis, and Johnson were unable to attend the session last Wednesday, and that out of that session, there was a list of major categories. And let's see, public safety, policing, law enforcement, namings, memorializations, remembrances, economic development, health, environmental justice, education, and then other. And so they asked that the three of you kind of think about things that you feel that are missing from the list. Big categories of fact-finding that are missing from the list that you would want to see included, and what are some key indicators you would want to be sure that they track under any of these categories or a new category. So after the meeting, I can just cut and paste this in an email to each of you. It's my understanding that Dr. Schuler and Laurel will be reaching out to each of you individually anyways, but I will send something out after the meeting. And then there was an overall update for the whole TRC. That they would ask that I report that we are continuing our fact-finding work by developing a list of sources and some preliminary findings. We are anticipating a follow-up in-person session in the next few months to discuss those findings and get further direction. We will email the TRC a full report of the requested focus areas and specific fact-finding priorities ASAP, likely next week. So that is the update from them. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay,
Good to go. Thank you.
Okay. I guess we can move on to the next agenda item.
And this one has a accompanying handout that you should have in front of you. That would be an email from Annie Tucker.
On the first one, on 9.
Annie.
But, oh, go ahead.
So here's the deal. I was talking with each of the three of the Native partners separately and trying to get us, this is the end of phase 1, so that we're all trying to get the education pieces to you, right? So trying to find dates in October for the things they said they would do. So what I'm giving you is they can be in town October 14th and 21st for the circles. But what they need you guys to do is decide, and they will be 3-hour blocks, and they will be like introductory sessions, so people get to experience circles. And so you guys can decide what you think are the best 3-hour block times, and they will work with that.
Now that we're extending like our time frame, do we have to have 2 circles like in 1 week? Because like they have to drive 5 hours
I'm with you.
from
and-
Sioux City. So if we can maybe just have one, and then we can have one, a month or 2 down the road, that might be a lot better.
I think I agree with you, and I agree with you guys having, not that it matters, but having more time to digest and create, right, and generate. That's okay with me, and I think it would be fine with them. This is them working within what we understood the constraints to be.
Yeah, maybe they can come during Truthsgiving time for their next one, which is it's Friday, November 10th. So they can come the night before, so they can, also engage in the Native American celebration happening.
Right. So this is a decision for you all, and then I can go back and ask them?
Yeah.
Right. So why don't you guys talk and see what you want and see what kind of timing in the day you want?
So we have October 14th and the 21st. So, I mean, my recommendation would be to keep October 14th and nix the 21st, and then have them come back on November 11th.
I definitely cannot do October 14th.
Neither can I.
I can do the 21st.
Okay, so let's just do the 21st then.
That's Buffalo.
Oh, yeah, we won't be in town.
We'll be gone.
Yeah, we'll be gone. But I mean, I don't want to be in the
Again,
circles.
just
I don't need to be in a
chime
circle. I've done circles.
You don't all have
And that's
to
what
be
I
there.
wanted to chime in.
Yeah.
I don't think we all have to be at
You
this,
don't.
especially if you've already attended. This is supposed to be to invite the community to experience it. I think it's also best if we don't have quorum. So 4 commissioners in 1 circle or less, so it can be, a safe space.
I mean, the 14th is just a little over a week. I don't think that's even enough time to get the word out. If it's going to be something that's going to be for the community.
Yeah, so
That's
oh, yeah,
not
okay, yeah.
enough time.
Wow, yeah, the 14th is that close. Oh, my gosh.
It's, a week from the Saturday.
Yeah, so we should do the 21st.
And
Also, we still have to operate like we have the 31st as a deadline until that's official.
I mean, but I don't think we should. Like, I don't think we should operate like that.
well, I mean, technically, since we have to wait till the city, which won't be till the 17th. But I'd say the 21st, I think would still be a good option for the first circle.
Yeah.
I mean, we could still do a presentation with 1 circle as information, right?
Yeah, because I mean, I was even going to bring this up like already as an issue. Like when I saw this, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like the 14th and then the 21st. I mean, like, and they have to drive 5 hours from Sioux City. I don't think that's again, see, there's just this pressure. And then also us, right? Like, we have to get all this like people to this thing and it's just, they're happening right. I don't know. So I was already going to like say, I don't think this is good timing.
Great, and this was working within.
Of course, yeah, and not your fault,
So
no,
they're,
like, yeah.
no, it's not about fault, but it's
Yeah.
also about their availability and working within the rest of the
Mm-hmm.
time. So I'm sure they'd be willing to work with what you counteroffer,
Yeah.
These just happen to be the times they can do it.
So, like, is there a way to talk with the city that we don't have to wait for like a council meeting? No. Like, can we send an email to them and they can?
It doesn't work that way.
No? Okay.
No,
There you go.
Yeah, I appreciate the challenge, but obviously, we're going to be starting the dialogue. They're going to hear from us tomorrow, and then we're going to have to work with the chair to get the actual letter, and we can get on the agenda. It's hard for me to say how comfortable I am that the council will support it, but obviously if you support it, the consultants support it, I think it's a good a chance that the council will support it.
Yeah,
right?
I feel good about it too. I mean, the city has been supporting us more lately, so I think they would hopefully understand that, like, this is something you can't really just rush, especially when we're talking about, like, people's traumas. So I would hope they would understand that. But yeah, and thank you so much, Annie, for doing that. Thank you for like again, for you and the consultants always like busting your butts, honestly, just trying to get everything done so quickly. But like, yeah, if we can have some time to spread it out, like that's amazing.
So, Annie,
Great. Yes,
so with those two dates,
yeah.
the 14th is not realistic.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
So,
Yeah.
so if we were thinking of the 21st as being like the first time, I mean, what all needs to be, do you know what all would need to be done to make it happen?
You would need to choose what time of day so you could inform people, right? So do you want it from 1 to 4? Do you want it from, I don't think 9 to 12 in the morning, but that's an example. It's a 3-hour time. So you guys would need to decide that. There would need,
Where?
Yeah, where
yes,
would this-
exactly, a location and a location where they could smudge, right? And so that
Can we do it at
actually
Robert?
has
Can we
happened.
do it at Robert E. Lee? Oh, I would love to have it there.
That's a question over to Stephanie, but what we're
day?
talking about
Not Robert E.
is-
Lee. Sorry.
Robert A.
Robert. No, not that. Yeah, Robert
Which one?
E. I always
Terry
do that.
Trueblood?
Terry Trueblood. That's what I was trying to think of. Because that's a good place where people could go out and smudge and. Yeah, sorry. Firstly, Robert E. Lee. Second of all, Terry Trueblood. That's what I was trying to get at. And it's a really nice space because people can go out and smudge out there.
The only hiccup to that space, and it may not be a big concern, but it's not on the transit line. So anybody who's relying on public transportation, it doesn't take them there.
Okay,
But
never mind.
But there could be alternatives. There could be rides that are, somebody wants to attend.
No,
like
it should be accessible. So never mind. Yeah, I don't know what I was
once
thinking.
again put out, I have a gym that is literally a stage that fits hundreds of people at a time. The bus lets off right there across the street. It's the one, anytime. Basically, think of a TED Talks. If those ring posts go down, you have nothing but a big stage, and we usually clear that place out and have at least 200 plus seats in there every time. That's always open, and I control it. Offer's always there.
Does it smell like a gym though?
It smells like a fight. Yes.
Yeah, see, like,
They also
Maybe.
have 3 bay doors that open up that let air circulate and fans and. plus
yeah,
we
no,
have-
it's a
we
beautiful
have the place
gym.
clean, too,
I've been
so
there. It's a beautiful gym, but it's still a gym.
That's true. That's true.
I wonder.
It's a stage
beggars
that
can't
be
that
choosers.
people come all the time, and it's literally in the heart of the city. And
I want to come for one of your next events for sure, but like maybe we can have it in a more comfortable, like serene place. Like, you know what I mean? Like, is there a place that has like, I don't know, like plants and it's just calm, you know?
There's one of the, the houses that the city owns that's
The
rented.
Ned Ashton House.
Ned Ashton, yeah.
What road is that? Is that Park? Park Road. It's
yeah,
off
it's
of
over-
Park Road. It's, it has greenery space and
Yeah, it
it's,
does.
yeah, I mean, I can send images.
That would be nice, yeah. Like, see, yeah, just because these are circles, right? And like, it's going to be for some people like a lot. So you
And
just want to make
again,
sure it's like a nice.
transit?
I think that
Yeah,
there
I'm
is
sure-
transit, actually,
yeah,
and there's
Ned
it's
Ashton
next to the
should.
river, too.
Yeah.
But we should definitely go to your boxing place, and like we should
No,
definitely
there's
like
absolutely zero pressure.
we should
The only-
that should be
the
for
only-
some.
it out there.
I've
We
I've
might
thrown this
need
out there
that.
only
We should
100
use it
million
for
times,
something
so
at some
Every time I
point.
hear that we have a location need, and I
Okay,
have
so
facility.
yeah, man, like for some of us to just
Always
duke
there.
it out.
Okay, so we're in agreement that the 21st, we're in agreement the 21st?
Yeah, does 1 to 4 sound good, everybody?
21st sounds good to me.
Yeah, 1 to 4 sounds good.
So we
1
can
to
maybe
4?
get the house and,
I'll put a reservation or ask in tomorrow, so I
Oh,
should
cool.
know at some point probably
And-
tomorrow.
so actually, if 1 to 4 doesn't, let's just say, because there's a conflict, backup would be what? 9
It
to
doesn't have to be a city space. You know, this isn't, it's not going to be recorded, it's not going to be live streamed. I mean, it's not going to be a meeting, so it's not a formal meeting of the TRC. So it might really be an opportunity also to go to places that you may have more barriers to going to if you're having a traditional meeting.
Okay. Well, I guess if, you'll know tomorrow? I guess
Yeah,
if there's-
I can call.
Okay, so if there's a conflict,
That's
then
the
we'll have
first
to
choice.
work on
Okay.
an option for that.
Okay.
Okay.
Right, but if there's a conflict for that place at 1 to 4, then Cliff can be the backup.
I don't know, it's too scary there.
no, no, it's not that, it's scary.
There's also
Only kids and people who are the elderly community go there all the time. No big deal, it's
We-
terrifying.
Okay.
There's also the
then-
East Side Educational Recycling Center too. which
Oh,
is
that's
off of
really,
Scott
yeah, that's kind of far
Boulevard.
out though too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little smaller, but it's
Yeah.
right off the bus line.
And it
Yeah.
is nice.
Oh, but we're talking on Saturday. Bus, just the bus schedule, Saturday bus schedule.
Yeah, but it would still go out there.
Okay.
It might be a little more restricted, but it would still
Okay.
be out, yeah.
Okay, the second thing is that they're going to do a 2-night training. And what they were looking at was, you can see down there, further down, the week of November 14th to 17th, and they were thinking 2 nights in a row. So from 5:30 to 9, 2 nights in a row would be where people who wanted to be trained in this, to be facilitators, could attend that. So ideally, they were thinking that the 2 circles that people could experience would be before that. But maybe you're saying November 11th, maybe they could just stay, you know, maybe it could be November 11th, Saturday as the second circle to experience, and then Tuesday and Wednesday, the 14th and 15th, they just stay and have that be the training.
I mean, we could also push the training too, so that.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying, now that we
Yeah.
don't have to
Right.
rush. So we could have the training in like, even in January? December, you know?
They were
like-
thinking after the holidays, or before the holidays, so I'm guessing they would think after the holidays as well. Yeah,
Oh, okay, so like January?
I'm thinking,
Because I mean, we're not going to be having any circles between, we're not going to be hosting any circles between November and.
right, because you've got your,
Yeah.
presumably you have your extension.
So maybe January to kind of give people,
These, just quick question, these 2 consecutive evenings, are they something that we have to attend both, or we just can attend one of? I mean, I just want to make sure it's not like a part 1, part 2, it's just that there's events happening 2 consecutive nights.
2 consecutive nights because it's all one kind of 7 or 8 hour training.
So it is
It's
something
a
that would have to
part
be
one, part
part 2.
two. Yeah, yeah. And if if you wanted them to come November 11th, around Thanksgiving, then people will, in October or in November, experience the circles that they're offering and be able to plan their time for 2 consecutive nights.
I mean,
Or if you thought, like, a full-day Saturday, they will have more availability further out. This was based on those nights, they all 3 could be here 2 nights.
Yeah, that would be great. Then if we have it in January, that'll work out better for them then, right?
Could. I
Yeah.
mean, this does work for them, but this is all that works. for
Oh,
them.
yeah, but that's what I meant. Now they
Yeah.
can have.
More
yeah,
choice.
Yeah.
Sure, okay. So am I hearing October 21st and November 11th that you would like them to be in town to do circles?
Yeah, and
For
1 to
peop-
4.
For the community to experience, both to just experience it, but also consider, do I want to learn how to do this? Right? And then they would be part of your team to the extent that you were, and you all could be trained too. and help offer the
Right
circles.
there, I want to ask a question.
Yeah.
Since the local facilitator is helping us with reconciliation, as people come to train, are they going to be educated on how it's tying with reconciliation in context of racial injustice, or it's just a standalone thing? A circle, attend a circle, learn to do a circle.
Right, really good question.
Yeah.
So when really it was Secaucus that recommended them, and when we told them that the city wanted to have a kind of circle that anyone could provide or learn to provide. So what Monape, you guys have met Monape, what he said was, okay, we'll develop Iowa circles for all Iowans. That's what he said. So I'm coming around to the answer of your question. This is not what you're asking, and that would be something further to develop. But they didn't take on developing something beyond a basic circle process that they could teach to other folks locally who could do it. So tailoring it for more healing. I mean, they do healings. You guys were present, some of you were present for healing circles, right? I think that's an add-on that could be developed, and I think you guys, some of you might be interested in being part of that.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's healing generally, not in relation to racial injustice reconciliation.
I think they weren't asked to do that specifically, but I think at this point you could say, yes, can you build that in? Remember how the questions are? Could you build in?
I'm more thinking of the contract and the local facilitator and reconciliation, and also being a charge for the TRC. So I'm trying to tie that to that part.
So I'm sort of missing what you're saying. We are working with them, but really it's been their role to create what it is.
I don't think that everything we do is always going to have every component of this entire process involved, right? People are going to come and testify. Circles are a form of them being able to testify. People are going to, you have to give people a chance to talk and a chance to heal and for things to come out so that we can, figure out where people are at. And reconciliation is more of the reconciliation is the thing that happens at the end. It's not we're always reconciling while we're doing this work, right? A lot of this stuff is health, is healing and testimony and truth. And so the reconciliation part comes after we write the recommendation, and that's how I see it happening. And then it's on the city to try and do something, which I'm crossing my fingers that they actually will. That's how generally this kind of process works, from my experience.
Can I add something that I read that Dave Ragland wrote? Mm-hmm. He was talking about reconciliation, that a part of it is people actually listening and accepting other people's truths.
Oh, yeah,
And
absolutely, yeah.
And so that's foundational to the circles. And to your point, I think that we can talk with them and have the questions be more than just general. They could include racial issues, racial discrimination, racial harm. It could include questions that open it up for people to respond with that.
Oh, yeah, I missed that part, yeah. I thought that's what they would include wouldn't they?
From what we did with Monopay, they were more general questions, but people spoke forward with their experiences, right? And maybe I'm forgetting the exact questions.
I
But it
don't
can-
know if this helps, but at least the contract speaks to the terms restorative justice. So I don't know if restorative justice fits what those concerns are, because I'm learning restorative justice myself. So if you could, that's at least what the contract says. I don't know if that helps what you're trying to communicate or not.
That's like the reconciliation part, right? Restorative justice?
Can be, depending on who's in the circle, right?
Yeah.
So, Wangui, when you're thinking of it, what were you imagining would help that focus to occur?
I'm just trying to make sure as a commissioner, I just keep track of our charge and the activities therein.
Yes.
Because just so that for myself, I don't get lost in a rabbit hole and lose track of the rabbit.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, yeah, and especially just because for the fact-finding, that language is kept. For truth-telling, that language is kept. But then now I just get circles, strategic doing, which are pieces of reconciliation, but somewhere along the line, I don't know where I lost reconciliation. So every time, I want to stay connected to the three charges
Right.
as a commissioner. So
Right.
that's what I'm trying to do here.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Good. So we will talk with them about that concern, bringing that in, and I will bring that to our meeting tomorrow. All the facilitators meet. And it's as someone else said, circles were seen as a process that could be part of reconciliation. But I take your point about
That
making sure we
education going to go to the community members who come in, or that piece?
it can be designed anyway, right?
Or will they just be attending a circle or have attended a circle?
I don't know
If I
what
could
they.
chime in.
Pardon?
I just want to chime in and say I agree with what Commissioner Rangui is saying. I think it
Yeah.
is very important that everything that we do is tied very closely to the charges. And if it's not clear, then maybe we need to look a little further at that. So just wanted to chime in on that.
Perfect. So, thank you. So what I'll say is that V and the three Native partners and we will talk. And we will make sure that that is the focus and the opportunity. I won't say outcome because people choose, right? But I will say the opportunity that is there. And definitely, if any of you guys want to be involved more closely in that conversation, you are totally welcome. So,
Are you feeling better about that?
It's clear now.
Okay. I think is there anything else on the circles? Are we done?
I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you.
And let's go on and move on to, I guess,
Is public comment allowed at this stage?
I'm sorry?
Is public comment allowed? Anything from the public?
Oh, on the circles? I guess I missed that at the beginning. So if you have a comment,
Yes. Is it
Go ahead.
procedural?
Absolutely.
go ahead. Mhm.
It is? Yeah. Okay. So I've been holding back for a little bit because some of the comments we have been having were inter-motion events and I could not come in. And that's gone, but you've made your motion and I thought maybe my input could have helped in some way or another. But I think this is a good opportunity now. I just want to tell you this from my experience. I'm talking from somebody from the community. I'm not a commissioner. There are not very many of us here. I want to tell you that all these 3 stages we are talking about, they are not parts of bicycles. These things come together. It's a whole process. Sometimes the first time you touch the bicycle, you start maybe building something like an architect. In itself, it might be involving truth-telling. It might also be involving reconciliation. And I will tell you a story. The first time I came in here, when I talked in this place, I think I talked about some issues I've had as somebody who works at night. That day, Redmond offered me help and support in a great way. I felt good just by hearing what I was saying. That process was a reconciliation to me because I told him the truth. And you guys, when most of the meetings I've been in, have been presenting maybe some experiences, not only mine, but other experiences of people in the community. So anytime it could be an individual, it could be 2 people, 3 people. Anytime they are talking about something, do not cut them into parts. This is this, this is this. With the rubric, we are going to do the puzzle. It is not a puzzle. It is a process. And I think the guys who came up with, I don't know who came up with the whole mandate, saw it that way. So let's not break that. So let's come to the talking circles. It gives us an opportunity to heal. I've talked about expressing views. The other day when I was in a meeting with Commissioner Cliff in a group, he told me something that helped me. Maybe I was not aware of it. He told me those experiences are not good. I felt good because I felt like a fellow human being. Felt that maybe some things I've experienced or something that somebody else has experienced is not good. It should not happen. That is a form of healing. I don't expect an injection. I don't expect $20 to be given by somebody who has harmed me. And so these things are not that tangible. They are not that, I've always told you, this is a very, very difficult process. What we are engaged in here, very difficult. It is not a one-target commission problem. We are looking at very, very complex systematic things that sometimes takes bits and bits. So if you are not very careful, some are not going to be healed. But let me tell you, what we are doing is all great. So let's just put them together, be very hopeful that these parts are healing. The circles are going to be very helpful. It's going to give some people opportunity. Maybe they're from our ethnic groups, different ethnic groups. To them, they will feel good. And it might not touch the restoration part that you are looking for, but you never know. It touches somebody. I go there, like I've told you, I felt good from what Cliff told me, from what he told, and what others have felt, that empathy. Much of the healing we are going to have from these things are going to be in the form of empathy. The other ones will take years. I'll be dead. My grandchildren probably are going to benefit from them. Maybe when they make policy changes and other things. What I can get right now, actually, what most of us are going to get, who have just a few years to go, are issues of empathy, education and learning. I died, but I felt that what I expressed to the community is going to make a difference to the others. So let's not really hang on the big parts. Okay, I want to see the tangible. They are going to be there. They're there. So that's what I want to express to you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, nothing else? We can go to the next agenda item, truth-telling training sessions. And first, I will open it up to the public if they have any comments on this agenda item. Anybody online? Okay. I don't know who was going to.
I'm not sure either, but the dates are on the agenda, and the space that's been reserved is per usual, the assembly room at the scene. So, and it's 5 to 9 each night.
Do we have a place?
Yeah, this.
Is there a location set for the 25th and 26th?
the senior center. And I believe I sent out the invites.
Yeah,
Yep, so that has the date on it, too. Yep. Date and location and time. But that's all I know.
There's always that place with that activist on the wall named Muhammad Ali who fought for people's rights. As a fighter, whenever there's a fighter out there, people fight for the right of their people and they stand up for them. And sometimes it smells a little bit, but it usually smells like some cleaning and
We can light some
getting the
candles.
job done. So just
I don't
just
mind doing
saying that
I don't mind doing
there's
training
another
there.
place out there.
I'm
Whenever
cool with
we
that.
need, there's always a place for us to fight back against oppression and things along those lines because fighters is what we're supposed to be, and that's who we are. So just saying, we got a place out there if need be.
We're at the senior center for the 25th and 26th.
Cheers to that.
Not to say anything
Okay,
about,
we
I'm
have to
just
have the next
answering
of-
the question.
The next thing has to
Always
happen
there.
at his gym.
We have to have something.
who all, do we know who all is going to be attending?
I don't know, man. I got so many things going on. Yeah.
Let's see, when the invite, I have Chad, Commissioner Simmons, Commissioner Merritt, Commissioner Krebs, Commissioner Sakowis. So those are the RSVPs I have.
So you did RSVP?
Oh, I did. I mean, I don't know if I can come though. I mean, because I have conflicts.
Isn't that the plan?
So on the 26th, I think
Oh, you have your class.
sent you an email, hopefully. Yeah, I have class till 6:45, but then I could come after.
Are we talking both days, 25 and 26?
Yes.
Yeah. From 5 to 9.
Yeah.
Can we order pizzas for meetings this long?
Stephanie, can I ask you whether, I don't even know whether you would have that answer. You said you only have RSVP from Commissioner Simmons?
No, from, it was Simmons.
Me,
Ooh, let's see here.
Krebs.
Anyway, what I'm trying to get to is if I haven't sent a yes, I have meant to.
Okay, yeah,
But sometimes I
didn't
don't know
have one, but I
whether
will get
it's
you-
my computer or something. But
That's fine.
sometimes it refuses to do that. So like for this meeting, I had to send you a separate email.
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, thank you.
My response for 25th and 26th, I'm available, so I'll make it. I'll make the availability.
We all heard it.
And I responded yes as well, so.
Well, it must be different systems, it doesn't always come through. Thank you.
May I ask a
Does
question?
anybody else usually have a problem with RSVPing? I usually do on my devices. It's not just one. So, and I'm sorry, sometimes you have to text me, but now that I've learned that thing doesn't load, or it loads later or whatever, I've learned and I've started to either text you that I'll be there before you ask, or like for this meeting, as I've said, email Stephanie directly, letting her know it's a yes. But I wish it could be easy for me to just click the yes and yeah.
I'll be honest, the fastest, easiest way to get me is through text. If you text me, I can get back to you like that. But I'm very busy. I have a lot going on.
We won't mention that I texted you and you didn't respond back.
That's all. I said that. I said the easiest. I said the easiest. I didn't say it was absolute. Absolute.
Annie, you had a question?
Yeah, I'm wondering if you guys would consider having this videotaped.
Sure.
Like, these guys are bringing us experiences from all over the world. Definitely, you guys are going to be creating your own process, but it might be a really good resource to have for the years of the TRC members to come, to be able to look back on this as well as the experiences you guys have created here. So I think it's worth considering.
Are you talking about the circles?
No, I'm talking about,
truth-
The
actually,
training.
the truth-telling.
Oh,
Still in training.
Yeah. And you could consider the circle training too. But
I mean,
you're
considering the
building
number
kind of your
of,
resources.
considering the number of commissioners that are going to be there, would that have to be a sort of like unofficial?
Well, I mean, it kind of, whether it's recorded or live, it kind of depends on, what they're doing. If they're breaking people up into like 6 different groups,
Then it's not-
That's just not really, yeah, I mean, you're not going to be able to get much there. But if it's more of a presentation, classroom style, then yeah, it's easy to get that recorded.
Okay. Yes, so maybe if we can get detail of how the format is going to be, and ask them if it is a format that, because the camera's going to be stationary, so if it's going to work, then we can probably work on getting it done.
Great, so we can be talking tomorrow with them?
Yeah.
That'd be great. Will
Okay.
do.
Thank you.
In the circles, I guess, in my opinion, I don't think those should be recorded. That's just my personal opinion, but I can get some pretty deep conversations going in those, and I don't know if that's something that.
yeah, particularly with members of the public.
Yeah.
We want them to feel safe
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everything.
Okay. Then I think we can move on to the next agenda item, the strategic doing update. Are there any members of the public that have comments on this agenda item? Okay. Then I think,
Yeah, be fixed
oh,
my
there's
rise.
there's a handout too in the packet
Yeah,
regarding this.
I'll get to that in a minute. It was really a strategic doing update for the groups that met. So all the groups should have met at this point, and so I just wanted to give commissioners an opportunity to update about their group. But I don't know if folks are prepared to do that tonight, and it's 10 o'clock. So I realize it's a bit late in the hour. We can certainly, do the update next meeting as well. Maybe just wanting to get updates, that's all, from those groups that met. So I guess I'll just move on to the Spanish-speaking ones. Those are the ones that are in your packet. And as you can see, there were 2 opportunities that were created. One was really around the empowering communities on their labor rights. And this was an issue that you can see several individuals. And I'll just note, too, that a lot of these individuals I've worked with before are really they're real community leaders, and so I was excited to see them here present. So they've identified, you'll see characteristics, and then KPI are key performance indicators. I know I had to ask what that was, actually. Their next meeting is on October 19th. They have some guideposts that they've identified, and it looks like they're going to be doing like workshops and trainings, working with other folks that are working in labor, and specifically in Spanish. So I'm sure they'll be working with CWJ, but I think that there's always more work that can be done in the community around labor rights. So those are that was one that they identified. And then the other one on the second page is the creating a physical space for community members of color and oppressed communities to create community with each other, have their voices be heard, and provide opportunities to immerse themselves in their cultures and shared values. So I did talk to one of the folks that was a part of this Pathfinder project, and she was like euphoric. She was just like, this is everything I've ever wanted. It was like a community cultural center. And so I think this team that you see here, how many people are in this group, they're really excited, and they have some guideposts and dates. Their meeting is also that same night. On the 19th. And so you can kind of see for yourself like what
Which
they're looking
19th?
for. October.
Okay.
19th, yeah.
Each one of them hasn't.
Yeah. They're both listed actually in red, like at the bottom of each page, but that one's on the backside. So I think that what's exciting about it is that obviously it's a community space that can be created by BIPOC people, and to have your culture there and to be present. And I know that the city has talked about, how can we be more inclusive, as has the county. And I know that there's a lot of, talk. And so it is really, I guess, moving to have it come from specific community, groups. And so hopefully this will kind of push forward, and they'll be giving updates as well. I know there was also a desire to get to know folks from these groups, and so still trying to work on what that would look like. I feel like last time I was here, there wasn't really, or there was just questions about having them come here. It sounded like folks are really more interested in like maybe a more social event, or like more like outside of City Hall. So still kind of working on those details, like what they would feel comfortable with. But I'll report back on maybe some possibilities. But that's my update. And then maybe next time we can just get an update from each of the groups. I know it's late, and I didn't actually write that in the agenda, so I apologize for that, to be more specific. Thank you.
Okay. Then I think that go on to the announcements, staff and commissioners.
I have an announcement. This upcoming Monday, October 9th, is Indigenous Peoples Day. And if you go to the Parks and Recreation Department website, or no, Facebook
You
page.
can also go to the city calendar, too.
I'll go to the city calendar. Okay. You can go to the city calendar, or you can go on Great Plains Action Society's Facebook page or Instagram and find information under events, and to get the information. But there'll be this first time ever that the city has worked with Indigenous peoples to do an Indigenous Peoples Day event, so it's kind of a big deal. And it's being carried out by Parks and Rec and Human Rights Commission and Office of Human Rights? Yeah. And then, and Great Plains Action Society. And so please try to make it if you can, because it's the first time ever and we could really use the support. Indigenous peoples have never gotten this kind of support before from the city, so it's a really big deal. There's going to be lots of good stuff happening. We're going to have the Meskwaki Nation's singers come and drum and sing. Regina Sosi, who is Dene from the Navajo Nation, is going to also come and play a guitar and her hand drum. She's from the Quad Cities. She's one of the founders of the Native American Coalition of the Quad Cities. There's going to be a lot of booths there, and there's going to be a lot of swag to hand out, and I think there's even like a free gift from Doglotsi, the local native-owned jewelry store here, and then there'll be free food for the first 100 people from Southside Street Foods, fry bread, tacos, and sweet versions of that. And there's even going to be an Atlatl presentation by the archaeology department, which is really exciting because I love the Atlatl. My son's really good at it. And oh my goodness, I think it's just going to be a really fun time. So I think it starts at 5:30. 5 o'clock on Monday at Terry Trueblood. Did I put everything in there? Yeah. Okay.
And it goes 5 to 7:30.
Yeah, 5 to 7:30. Weather's going to be 60s-ish, I was told. So, anyways, that's it.
Tomorrow it's tomorrow. Tomorrow's the homecoming parade. That's pretty awesome with the university. I would hope that next year we can have something with the TRC in that parade. I think that would be a great idea. That's a time when you're going to see the entire city, and I just think that's a missed opportunity that we don't have anything in there right now. When it comes down to the 28th, on the 28th and at I-Core Boxing, we're having another tournament out there where you have an extremely diverse group of people all over the place from all over coming together towards one thing, and that's boxing. And that'll be on October 28th at 3 p.m. That's all I have for right now.
Nobody else? I ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.